Chapter 1522. With 2 drops of rudimentary Ice Jade Jiao's blood essence, Blackie's dragon power suddenly increased by a level. A large amount of clouds gathered around Blackie, making its 300-meter-long body faintly discernible. Golden lightning swam within the clouds, and a torrential rain suddenly fell. A domineering and arrogant dragon roar echoed throughout the return from faraway manor. It symbolized the arrival of a master dragon. The angelfish of bliss in the hidden WRM lake had gotten used to Blackie's presence. Knowing that Blackie would not harm them, they no longer hid from him. But now that Blackie's aura had changed, these angelfish of bliss began to hide from him again. Lin Yuan estimated that in the past 2 weeks, it would be very difficult to see the rainbow figures swimming freely. It would be very difficult to see the rainbow figures swimming freely in the hidden WRM lake. In the boundless night, a wild laughter came from the mouth of a golden-haired uncle. Second page of revival. We are both kings on this trip. Don't expect me to assist you. The golden-haired uncle had an incomparably righteous face. This long face made the middle-aged man feel that whatever he did was righteous. The girl next door with a pair of gray wings behind her looked at the golden-haired uncle with dead eyes. His tone sounded like he was singing a funeral song. 6th page whipping. I don't care what you do on this trip. But in the Radiance Federation, when I need to use the sacred source life form, the Black Mass Cup, you have to activate it. I have lost contact with the 2 seeds of the garden-haired konjac in one of the clusters. I can no longer sense their presence by relying on the main body of the garden-haired konjac. I released these 2 seeds and clusters to absorb energy for the advancement of the round garden-haired konjac. Now that the main body of the garden-haired konjac is missing, I can't retrieve the seeds and clusters. The garden-haired konjac will never be able to cross that threshold. Why do search? This will affect the 100-year plan of our tower cannon, the revival of the hibernators. Don't forget what Lady Scarlet told you when you came here. 6th page whipping's expression changed slightly when he heard 2nd page of revival. His sharp eyes stared at 2nd page of revival. The destiny page is dead, but the tower cannon's page will be replaced soon. I asked 3 pages eternal sin, and he doesn't know who this Scarlet Page is. As soon as Scarlet Page arrived, he revealed his strength and gave us a show of strength. No one truly respects him, yet you call him Lord. It seems like the 2nd page of Renaissance knows the identity of the 1st page of Scarlet. I am the esteemed 6th page of the Pagoda Canon, but the more I think about it, the more I feel that even I, the grand 6th page, cannot see through the Pagoda Canon. If you want me to use the Black Mass Chalice, you should at least give me a reason. The consequences of the Black Mass Cup's activation will cause the Radiance side to immediately retaliate against our tower cannon. When 2nd page revival heard 6th page whip's words, his expression changed. From the original deathly stillness and resentment, she became as pure as the girl next door. You only need to know how to use the Cup of Black Massachusetts. The 100-year plan of the Pagoda Cannon and the resurrection of the slumbering ones cannot be lost. Lord Crimson Page will handle Hui Yao's revenge. When 6th page whip heard 2nd page revival's words, a playful expression appeared on his face. At the same time, deep fear flashed in his eyes. It was as if he was thinking about the red fingers engraved with a strange totem under the crimson robe. When he thought about the red fingers engraved with the strange totem, 6th page whip could not help but shiver. Could it be that the legendary person could live for thousands of years without dying? In a Blackstone castle, the youth looked at the young girl who was holding a mop and grabbed the mop. He said to the young girl unhappily, "Big sister, I am now an Earth Mother. There are so many servants in the Blackstone castle now. You don't need to work anymore." The young girl rubbed the soft curly hair on the youth's head with her palm and said, "Big sister, I am now an Earth Mother. There are so many servants serving in the Blackstone castle now. You don't need to work anymore." When the young girl heard that, she used her palm to rub the soft curly hair on the youth's head. "If you don't let me, I don't know what I can do. If you don't let Big Sister do it, I don't know what I can do in a day. Big Sister doesn't have the talent to be a spirit chi professional, so I can't help you." When the youth heard that, his eyes could not help but turn red. Even if the lords and the stars had allowed him to become a creation master in old Mother Earth, he would not be able to do so. The people around him who had bullied him in the past had all become respectful of him and were trying to please him. But his sister would always be the same as before. However, the young man's stubbornness came out, and he didn't want his sister to do any more hard work. Suddenly, the youth thought of an idea and said to the girl, "Sis, you don't have the talent of a spirit chi professional, but you can still contract some special source type items. Sister, Didn't you like to arrange flowers and draw since you were young? I love looking at Big Sister's paintings. When Big Sister contracts source-type items in the future, I'll help Big Sister strengthen them, and Big Sister can go and do some flower arrangements, okay? Hearing this, the young girl was slightly startled. He did not expect that there would be a day when he could contract source-type items without the talent of a spirit chi professional. She knew how stubborn her younger brother could be since he was young. The girl decided to agree first. Her younger brother had grown up. If only her father and mother were still alive. They would probably have a smile on their faces. I really don't know who the benefactor that my brother has been talking about is. I wish I could thank him in person. At this moment, a voice came from the door. A middle-aged man with a face full of embroidery knocked on the door respectfully. After getting a response, he walked in and said, "Lord Bu-pa, Heavenly Mother wishes to see you." This middle-aged man was a strong practitioner at the peak of king level, and he was an inspector that Heavenly Mother had sent to Mother Earth Palace. This kind of supervisory attendant sent down by Heavenly Mother didn't need to be too polite to Mother Earth in the underground castle. However, the middle-aged man knew how astonishing the talent of the youth in front of him was. He actually completed the Class 3 Creation Master exam. This matter not only alarmed the Heavenly Mother, but even the Divine Mother received the news. In the future, this young man would probably become a disciple that even the Heavenly Mother would have to bow to. Bu-pa nodded and said, "I'll go see Heavenly Mother immediately." At night, Bu-pa returned to the Blackstone Fort in a daze. He felt that everything was like a dream. He was actually going to the Imperial City to pay his respects to the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother would personally test him and decide whether or not to accept him as a disciple. This was an honor that Bu-pa didn't even dare to dream of. With this honor, Bu-pa was even more grateful to the man with the code name Lion, among the stars. This kind of gratitude even surpassed Bu-pa's sense of belonging to the Divine Mother Federation. If it wasn't for that lord, Bu-pa knew that his sister would have died after being defiled. His injuries would have even caused him to die before his sister. Bu-pa put his palms together and thought to himself, "If I can become the Divine Mother's disciple, I'm willing to repay the Lord with the Divine Mother Federation for saving my sister and saving my sister's life." Instant update Beast Evolution Quotient. Please bookmark this site so that you can read it online the next time there's an update. The mobile version was updated the fastest. Chapter 1523. After making his wish, the young man stood up, turned around and ran toward his sister's room. He shouted from his mouth, "Sister, we're going to the capital tomorrow?" In a tavern filled with the smell of oysters, a man was sitting next to a dark, skinny youth. He said as he drank the blood wine in his cup, "Little monkey, next time you see someone causing trouble, drag him out and beat him to death. Although we're running a tavern, our business is to escort ships at sea. This is not a place for these troublemakers to drink and cause trouble." Somehow he had escaped from the sea. Warren began to enjoy drinking blood wine and eating sawfin shark meat. The blood wine reminded Warren of how his brother had bled for him when he was in a desperate situation. The sawfin shark meat reminded Warren to be on guard against any incoming danger. Warren was still as kind to the crew as ever, but he was still the same. These crew members were Warren's sworn brothers who had been through life and death together. However, it was undeniable that the little monkey had become the person that Warren valued the most. Little Monkey said seriously after hearing Warren's words, "Brother Warren, if anyone dares to cause trouble again, I'll definitely use the rudder to chop off their heads. Those who are drunk and causing trouble here are mostly people sent by other fleets to gather information. We don't have any girls here. Which decent sailor would come to our inn to drink?" Warren narrowed his eyes and glared at the little monkey. "Damn it, do you have some kind of misunderstanding about a proper sailor?" Warren patted the little monkey's shoulder and said, "Go and inform them first. Although there are only 7 fleets this time, I will lead them on a big one. Let them see with their own eyes that the sawtooth sharks are no longer a nightmare for ships. Our tavern will naturally become lively." Warren stared at the dim lights in the tavern. It was as if he could see through the flames and see the man surrounded by rules and wills among the stars. Warren, who possessed the diamond/fantasy breed blue ring giant octopus, was much stronger than before. It was precisely because of this that Warren understood the man codenamed Lion better. What kind of power did it possess? His entire team's annual income at sea wasn't even enough to invite a Class 4 Creation Master to take action once. That figure actually used an unbelievable method to accomplish something that only Class 4 Creation Masters could do. At the same time, Warren knew that the figure didn't just possess the resources of a Class 4 Creation Master. How could an ordinary Class 4 Creation Master obtain a Bronze/Legend Fae? That figure was Warren's secret and also Warren's benefactor. Most of the navigators of the Storm Federation believed in a god. On the masts of ships sailing on the sea, there were always carvings of sea dragons. It was rumored that in the depths of the sea around the Storm Federation, there was a huge sea dragon sleeping at the bottom of the sea. This legend had always been passed down by the navigators. But not long ago, Warren erased the sea dragon totem on the mast of the Warren. Warren carved 2 thrones on the mast according to his memory. A man with a Leo nebula above his head sat on a throne. On the other throne sat a woman with a Libra nebula above her head. Compared to the illusory sea dragon, Warren believed in these 2 figures more. For the god in Warren's heart. As he stood up, a cold light flashed across Warren's eyes. For the sake of resources, the voyagers were always fighting over them. They were not willing to unite. However, his god wanted him to establish a faction. As for those voyagers who only wanted to fight for resources, he could only apologize. Anyone who obstructed his path had to die. Only those who were obedient would be able to survive. It was unknown if it was because he had contracted the blue-ringed sea octopus and had more interactions with it. Due to the influence of the blue-ringed sea octopus, Warren became more and more iron-blooded. However, only iron-blooded people would be able to achieve their goals more easily. It would also be easier to protect his old comrades. Based on the time, it should be almost 7 days. Warren was looking forward to the second gathering among the stars. At that moment, Warren felt a nebula among the stars giving him guidance. Warren's heart immediately became excited. After giving some instructions, Warren returned to his room. After locking the door, Warren responded to the call of the nebula. After 7 days, the gathering among the stars was going to start again. This time it wasn't just Lin. Bei Su, Talei, Bu Per and Warren were also participating. Sui Yiren, who was in the Divine Wood Federation, also accepted this guidance. Surin would accept the guidance, but not because he had something to do at the Celestial Body Assembly. Not long ago, when Lin Yuan had helped the myth breed phase through the world cleansing and harvested spirit chi crystals. He had been to the Divine Wood Federation once. At that time, he had provided Sui Yiren with all the supplies for the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce for 3 months. At the same time, he had given her 20 pairs of bronze/epic walnuts. Holding these walnuts, Sui Yiren thought for a long time. She had finally decided to choose 12 pairs of bronze/epic walnuts and make them into core bells. They hung on the 14 millet fruits. This could not only enhance the Love Square's prestige but also attract the descendants of the wealthy families in the Divine Wood Federation. To Sui Yiren, these descendants of the rich and powerful were the perfect source of information. They could help her obtain information that only the major factions would circulate in the Divine Wood Federation. Lin Yuan had already said that he would not come to the Divine Wood Federation in the short term. He had asked her to deal with the Divine Wood Federation's matters. At the same time, he had given her a magical piece of paper that could be written on with her spiritual power. Through the paper, even if she was on 2 different continents, she could still exchange information very well. But for some reason, Sui Yiren really wanted to have the opportunity to sit face to face with Lin Yuan. Therefore, even if Sui Yiren was fine after feeling the guidance, she still came to join in the fun. Lin Yuan, who was sitting on the golden throne of the Leo constellation, looked at the 6 people who had received guidance and nodded. It seemed that Bu Per and Warren had survived. Before Lin Yuan could say anything, Bu Per spoke with gratitude. Lion, because of your help, my elder sister has escaped from the abyss of suffering. I have also become a Class 3 Creation Master. A Mother Earth now. I heard from the Heavenly Mother who tested me that she wants to take me to see the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother is very likely to accept me as a disciple. When Bu Per saw Lin Yuan, it was as if she had seen a family member. She told him her experience without any scruples. Bei Su and Trey did not react to Bu Po's words. With Bei Su and Trey's information reserves, they had never heard of Earth Mother, Heavenly Mother, or the Divine Mother. However, Sui Yiren, who was a Dark Envoy and Azure Envoy, were not unfamiliar with the Divine Mother Federation. They were no strangers to the Divine Mother Federation, which had Class 5 Creation Masters. Chapter 1524. As a navigator, Warren had also heard that it was not far from the Storm Federation. The Federation's combat power was abnormally strong. The appearance of a 14 or 15-year-old Class 3 Creation Master would definitely cause a commotion in the Mother Goddess Federation. Even if it appeared in the Dark 7 States and the Azure Federation, it would still be shocking. He immediately received the attention of the higher-ups. If this youth named Bupa could become a Class 3 creation master at such a young age, Bupa wouldn't be able to do so. There was at least an 80% chance that he would become a disciple of the Divine Mother. Of course, this was only possible in the Mother Goddess Federation. That was because the Mother Goddess Federation was like a machine that was perfectly fitted together. Every step of the operation would be reported to the Mother Goddess. There would be no accidents or mistakes. If it was the Azure Federation or the Dark Seven States, Bupa might have been secretly hidden by some force and kept to be nurtured. Or perhaps he had attracted the jealousy of others on his path of growth and was assassinated. Lin wanted to befriend both Bupa and Suiren. Both of them were surprised by the value of being a member of the Celestial Council. Among these few people, there were actually so many envoys of the Federation. If it continued to develop, the Heavenly Body Council would probably become a miniature assembly of 10,000 states. Bupa, who was thanking Lin Yuan, suddenly burst into tears for some reason. After getting Lin Yuan's help, Bupa was no longer as bitter as before. He and his sister were living a life that they had never dared to imagine in the past. It was also because of this that Bupa's mood was so agitated after seeing Lin Yuan. Warren knelt on both knees and kowtowed to Wenyu and Lin Yuan devoutly. Leo Libra, I've already established the fledgling Voyage Guild. After this, I will do my best to gather the fleet together. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Warren was definitely a career-oriented person. In just a short 7 days he had already established the basic structure of his force. Trey came to Bupa's side from the moment her tears fell. Step up to comfort Amber. Seeing that Bupa was no longer crying, Trey said to Lin Yuan. Master, Grandpa caught a group of rockhorn camels in the wasteland. When these rockhorn camels run, they are more than twice as fast as we normally run. In another 27 or 28 days, I will be able to reach the border of the Divine Wood Federation. There were less than 20 days left before the Radiance 100 sequence selection. After the Radiance 100 sequence selection, he would let Swiren meet with Trey. Then they would apply for the territory at the border. Over at Beishu's side it was still the same. However, with Lin Yuan's help, Beishu had become a creation master. The grade and quality of his subordinate source-type items had improved. The current Beishu was no longer dragging a bunch of fuel bottles into battle. These oil bottles all had combat strength and they were more than enough to help Beishu. When the Celestial Council was about to end, Lin said softly to Lin Yuan. I still have 12 days before I can reach the Radiance Federation. The Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission is also traveling with me. On the way here, the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission wanted to form an alliance with us, but I rejected them. Upon hearing Lin's words, the expressions on Lin Yuan and Wenyu's faces changed significantly. Before Lin could finish her words, Lin paused for a moment before continuing. The Freedom Federation's envoy team must be plotting something against Hui Yao. It's just that I'm not sure what this idea is. In addition, you have to be careful of a source-type item called Cocoon Demon Embryo. Fortunately, I managed to keep the 12 Cocoon Demon Embryos that they traded with me. But we can't rule out the possibility that they have more Cocoon Demon Embryos in their hands. Lin Yuan and Wenyu looked at each other. Obviously, they had never heard of something like a Cocoon Demon Embryo. It was no wonder, as the Radiance Federation and the Freedom Federation had always been enemies. However, the Azure Federation, the Radiance Federation, and the Freedom Federation had established diplomatic relations. The Azure Federation naturally had a better understanding of the Freedom Federation's situation than the Radiance Federation. Lin Yuan attached great importance to Lin's information. It was expected that the Freedom Federation's envoys would cause trouble during the Radiance 100 sequence selection. At that time it would definitely be a head-on clash and there would be no tricks to speak of. However, the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission would choose to ally with the Azure Federation's diplomatic mission. The original conflict between the two federations was dragged into a third federation. It seemed like the movement of the Freedom Federation's diplomatic corps would be very big. Lin would deliberately remind him to be careful of source-type items like Cocoon Demon Embryos. Lin Yuan felt that he had to ask about the Demon Embryo's function. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's question, Lin explained in detail. The Cocoon Demon Embryo is a special source-type item that can cause insect-type carcinoma phase to mutate and gain intelligence. Break through the restraints of the original rank, comprehend the willpower rune, and continuously evolve toward a fantasy breed and myth breed. At this point, Lin had already explained the dangers of cocooning demon embryos. However, when Lin Yuan and Wenyu heard Lin's explanation, their eyes lit up. The Cocoon Demon Embryo was a source-type item tailor-made for Lu Jie. Lu Jie's current fighting style was no longer just controlling the insect queen. Most of them relied on the insect queen to control those insect-type carcinoma phase. This made Lu Jie different from ordinary spirit chi professionals. Instead, it was more like a catastrophe engine. Controlling an insect-type carcinoma fae to fight might be powerful, but it wasn't the same as controlling an insect fae. However, this kind of strength was only targeted at the environment, not at a single individual. As a result, when Lu Jie fought against prodigies with multiple faes, he had no advantage at all. No matter how strong the insect queen was, it was still an insect-type source-type life form. However, if he had the cocoon transformation demon embryo, he would be able to break through all of his insect species carcinoma phase. It could be used as a fae. Such a Lu Jie was terrifying. Lin Yuan, and when you could already predict what a terrifying humanoid disaster Lu Jie would become. The demon embryo cocoon was the opportunity that Lu Jie had been waiting for. According to what Yin Lin had just said, there were a total of 12 cocoon demon embryos. And they were all in Yin Lin's hands. Lin Yuan said to Yin Lin very seriously, "I'm very interested in the 12 cocoon demon embryos in your hands. I wonder if I can trade with you?" Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Yin Lin replied subconsciously, "Lion, I'll just give it to you directly. These things are useless in my hands." However, the matter of cocooning the demon embryo is of great importance. It's not appropriate for me to stay in the listening heron chamber of commerce. Once the person in charge is negligent, it is very likely to bring disaster to the Radiant sect. That's why, Lion, I want to meet you and personally hand you the cocoon demon embryo. Chapter 1525. Su Yiren pursed her lips at Yin Lin's words. To Su Yiren, Yin Lin was beyond saving. It was clearly a deal, but you didn't want anything in return. You just wanted to meet her face. From Su Yiren's point of view, Yin Lin, this Azure envoy, was a little silly. However, Su Yiren had forgotten that she also wanted to see Lin Yuan. That was why he came to the Celestial Body Council to join in the fun. Upon hearing Yin Lin's words, Lin Yuan hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Okay, let's meet at the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce." Upon hearing that, Yin Lin's eyes flashed with a trace of anticipation, excitement, and nervousness. The star-studded banquet came to an end in Yin Lin's anticipation. After the heavenly body meeting ended, Lin Yuan continued to enhance phase as usual. He was seeking to break through as a spirit chi professional. At the same time, he observed Chimey and Genius. In these few days, Miao Jinshan's heart fell from the clouds to the bottom of the valley. Finally, it sank into the bottomless abyss. The Miao family's beast creation garden was prepared to rebuild its glory with the blood of the 7 old families. Within 4 days, he had arranged 7 blood oath extreme battles. The Miao family's beast creation garden was already notorious. Miao Jinshan was not afraid that the Miao family's beast creation garden would bear even more notoriety. The resources of the 7 veteran factions, together with the new emperor-level experts of the Miao family's beast creation garden, it was enough for the Miao family's beast creation garden to recover to its peak. Moreover, Lin Yuan had already spoken before. Miao Jinshan refused to believe that Sky City would help these veteran powers if he did not provoke them. But Miao Jinshan never thought that things would really develop in a direction that he couldn't believe. In the first Blood Oath Extreme battle, the Miao family's beast creation garden had already lost 3 Emperor-class experts. The Miao family's beast creation garden had once again become the laughing stock of the entire Radiance Federation. Even the Sky City Lord and the Moon Empress disciple became a topic of discussion on the Star Web again. Miao Jinshan's first reaction was to contact Lin Yuan. However, Miao Jinshan found that Lin Yuan's phone could no longer be reached. Another 2 days passed, and the Miao family lost 12 Emperor-level experts in a row. More than half of the great Emperor-level powerhouses of the Miao family had been killed. These were the foundations of the Miao family's beast creation garden. At this moment, Miao Jinshan's heart was suddenly filled with regret. Since he could not contact Lin Yuan, Miao Jinshan could only contact the other top factions that had established relations with the Miao family's beast creation garden. He wanted to ask these top forces for help. In the end, these top forces directly shed all pretense of cordiality with Miao Jinshan. Fuck. The black figure sent by Sky City was clearly at the peak stage of the god of creation. He had even touched the undying level. Sky City was once known as the 4th most powerful force in the world. You want us to help because we have too many Emperor-level experts in our faction. Sending them to their deaths? What a black-hearted maggot. Miao Jinshan, who could not receive any help, had no choice but to contact Sky City. In the end, there was no response at all. Miao Jinshan couldn't get in touch with Sky City, so he went to contact the veteran forces that he had been targeting. He hoped that those old powers would join him in dissolving the Blood Oath Extreme Duel. He would compensate them after the event. In the end, all of these veteran forces firmly refused. Miao Jinshan, who had no idea what to do, sat powerlessly in the old house of the Miao family. On the third day they lost another 6 Emperor-level experts. On the fourth day, Miao Jinshan was no longer prepared to send any Emperor-level experts. It would be fine if any 3 of them went to their deaths. As long as he was still alive, no veteran faction would have the guts to come and settle the score. Unexpectedly, on the 4th day, which was the 7th Blood Oath Extreme Duel's defeat, the veteran faction that won brought their men to the old house of the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. Just as Miao Jinshan was about to counterattack, a black figure flashed by. The Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, which had continued to write for hundreds of years, had officially come to an end. As a pinnacle Emperor-level expert, Miao Jinshan had become the 5th humanoid weapon. He had become the 5th humanoid weapon controlled by Red Thorn's Tongue of Relinquish. Lin Yuan's days were peaceful and prosperous. Now, he could almost do it without paying attention to what was happening outside the window. He constantly enhanced his phase while watching Genius and Chimey constantly grow. More and more golden patterns appeared on Chimey's azure blue feathers. Chimey flapped its wings. These golden patterns would vibrate and let out a clear cry. It was like plucking the strings of a lute and playing with the lute. Genius's changes were on its tails. Previously, Genius had 8 pure white tails growing on its back. Now, Genius's 8 tails had extended again. However, the ends of the extended tails were no longer fur but spiritual energy. After communicating with Genius, Lin Yuan realized that Genius could now use its 8 tails like it was using its hands. This allowed Genius to use its 8 tails and spiritual energy to form a palm when concocting spirit fluids. This increased the speed of concocting spirit fluids. Genius could even split its 8 tails into groups of 2. Every 2 tails would form a group, and with the spiritual energy palm, it could concoct 5 types of spirit fluids at the same time. Of course, these 5 types of spirit fluids must be of the same type. If it were to concoct 5 different types of spirit fluids at the same time, there might be a chance of success, but the probability of failure would undoubtedly be much higher. Over the past few days, Purple Firmament hadn't gone to the swamp world. Instead, he lay listlessly on the Jasmine Lily, which had been upgraded to Diamond X/Fantasy V. She saw that the other companion's quality had improved, but her quality had not changed. She couldn't help but feel anxious, but there was nothing she could do. How could the Nirvana butterfly be so easy to find? Lin Yuan had been comforting Purple Firmament for the past few days. As the most beautiful Fae in the world, when had Purple Firmament ever suffered such a blow? Lin Yuan's comfort was simply not enough to restore Purple Firmament's vitality. Instead, it made Purple Firmament increasingly feel that she was useless. Now, even those withered heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies could play a role. However, he rarely had a chance to use it in battle. Recently, Lu Jie had gone to the land of spirit suppression for seclusion, and there was no chef in the mansion. When you originally wanted to shoulder the responsibility of a chef. However, the dishes cooked by when you were difficult for him to swallow. She simply ordered takeout from the Spirit Food Pavilion. This allowed the Mother of Bloodbath, which occasionally changed its taste, to discover a new world. It was not that Lu Jie's usual cooking was not as good as the Spirit Food Pavilion's. In the Mother of Bloodbath's heart, Lu Jie's cooking was the best in the world. However, Lu Jie's cooking was tiring, and the Mother of Bloodbath could not fill its stomach. As a myth-breed Fae, no matter how much Lu Jie cooked, the Mother of Bloodbath could easily eat it. Moreover, it was in a hurry to eat and digest. Eating was just a way for the Mother of Bloodbath to satisfy its appetite. Chapter 1526. The Mother of Bloodbath, who had discovered the delivery function, placed orders in the Spirit Food Pavilion like flowing water. Half of the dishes made by the chefs of the Imperial Capital's Spirit Food Pavilion were probably sent to the Return from Faraway Manor. He felt that if he introduced Zhao Xiaochun to the Mother of Bloodbath, the two of them would definitely become the best foodie partners. On this day, Lin Yuan was eating downstairs as usual. The glow-winged butterflies living in the purple sandalwood longevity fish tank and spirit-containing hibiscus were flying in the house as usual. The glow-winged butterfly's skill had the ability to remove dust. It could be said that the glow-winged butterfly had always been the most diligent housekeeper in the manor. The glow-winged butterflies fluttering in the manor were already a scene that everyone was used to seeing. Very few people would look at these glow-winged butterflies again. While eating the takeaway, the bored Lin Yuan wanted to take a look at the 5 fortune ranchu in the red sandalwood longevity fish tank. At that moment, Lin Yuan keenly noticed that a cluster of spirit-containing hibiscuses on the red sandalwood longevity fish tank had withered. That shouldn't be the case. Although the 3-tailed dragon phoenix landscape carps had been placed in the hidden flood dragon lake, the 5 fortune ranchu was still in the fish tank. After such a long time, Lin Yuan would place his hand on the red sandalwood longevity fish tank and inject pure spirit chi into it. This vat of 5 fortune ranches had already reached bronze X/epic. The spiritual energy released by the 99 bronze/epic 5 fortune ranches was already comparable to the spiritual energy content of a 2-star spirit liquid. Under the nourishment of this level of spirit chi, the spirit-containing hibiscuses had no reason to wilt. He decided to check out the situation. As a result, just as Lin Yuan approached and was about to touch this withered spirit-containing hibiscus with his hand, a dark red figure flew out from the withered spirit-containing hibiscuses. There was an obvious sense of fierceness and loneliness on this figure. However, this figure did not attack Lin Yuan. Instead, it circled around Lin Yuan and hesitated for a moment. Finally, it tentatively landed on Lin Yuan's collar and met his gaze. Its body was dark red, and its wings were like phoenix feathers. There were flame patterns in the shape of annual rings on its butterfly wings. This completely matched the appearance of the Nirvana sea butterfly. Originally, Lin Yuan did not know much about the Nirvana butterfly. However, during this period of time, in order to improve Purple Cloud's quality and restore its confidence, Lin Yuan had not given up. He looked through all the information he could find on the Nirvana butterfly. He also used his connections to ask others to help him search for the Nirvana sea butterfly. But so far Lin Yuan had not gotten any valuable feedback. He used Morbius' exclusive ability, True Data, to check on the red butterfly on his shoulder. Fey name, Nirvana Abyss Butterfly, Spirit Species, Scale Butterfly/Swallowtail, Fey Grade, Bronze 7/10, Fey Type, Fire/Spiritual, Fey Quality, Flawless Skills Frowny Face Scale Fire, flaps its wings to scatter scale powder. When activated, the scale powder can quickly ignite into flames and set all targets on fire. Quenching Reinforcement. Use scale powder to form a quenching layer on the surface of the shield. The quenching layer can resist non-water damage, and at the same time, increase the defensive capabilities of the tempered shield. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Rebirth from the Flames. When killed, as long as there is a flame from the scale powder, the target can be reborn from the flame. At first glance, Lin Yuan found that this red butterfly was really the Nirvana sea butterfly. It really didn't take any effort to find it. He had searched hard, but there had been no news. It turned out that what he was looking for had already appeared in the mansion. Lin Yuan suddenly thought of the different glowing winged butterfly he had found before. At that time, he seemed to have found a glowing winged butterfly and was about to check it out. In the end, he was disturbed by something. That glowing winged butterfly must be this Nirvana sea butterfly. During the process of the glowing winged butterfly's metamorphosis into the Nirvana sea butterfly, its original wood-type energy would turn into fire-type. As a wood-type Fey, the glowing winged butterfly was very afraid of fire-type energy. This made the glowing winged butterfly very resistant to contact with the Nirvana sea butterfly and not dare to get close to it. This was the real reason why the Nirvana sea butterfly had left the group. Through the records, Lin Yuan learned that the Nirvana sea butterfly had a very fiery temper. It liked to cast scale powder on other targets and ignite them. Now, the Nirvana sea butterfly did not attack Lin Yuan. Instead, it showed a close attitude toward him. It meant that this Nirvana sea butterfly still remembered Lin Yuan's kindness and strengthening it. Lin Yuan raised his hand, and the Nirvana sea butterfly on his shoulder suddenly flew up. It landed firmly on Lin Yuan's fingertips. Seeing red butterfly on his fingertips, Lin Yuan was overjoyed. Firstly, Purple Firmament's quality could be smoothly improved. Secondly, Chu Ci had a new Fey. The Nirvana sea butterfly's normal ability, Scale Fire, could make it a fanatic that attracted fire everywhere. If the Nirvana sea butterfly wanted to, it could release scale powder in the mansion in the middle of the night. The house, which was surrounded by completely jade-textured wood, would burn in an instant. As the Nirvana sea butterfly's strength increased, the scale fire's power would become stronger. Moreover, the ignition effect was to urge the target's energy to burn. It would consume the target's energy. When the Nirvana sea butterfly was powerful to a certain extent, the scale fire it released could even ignite a river. The Nirvana sea butterfly's exclusive skill, Born from Flames, was very compatible with the normal ability, Scale Fire. As a butterfly fae of the scale butterfly species, the scale powder on its wings could be easily regenerated. If the scale powder fell within a certain range, even if the Nirvana sea butterfly was killed by a powerful enemy, it could still use the fire ignited by the scale powder to revive. It was a kind of fae that could be indestructible in a special way. Of course, the Nirvana sea butterfly also had a natural enemy. The Nirvana sea butterfly, which relied on burning its scale powder to revive, was most afraid of fighting in the sea and other environments when it was not strong enough. As long as the Nirvana sea butterfly was not strong enough to ignite the seawater, the scattered scale powder would be washed away by the current. The Nirvana sea butterfly would not have the chance to born from flames. Ice-type faes were also the Nirvana sea butterfly's nemesis. Igniting ice was much more difficult than igniting water. Moreover, in an extremely cold environment, the scale powder ignited was easier to extinguish. The reason Lin Yuan decided to make the Nirvana sea butterfly Chu Si's fourth fae was not because of its normal ability and exclusive heat. It was because of the Nirvana sea butterfly's elite ability, ice quench reinforcement. The Nirvana sea butterfly was a defense-type fae. There were no standard defense-type faes among Chu Si's current contracted faes. Regardless of whether it was the yellow jadeite golden butterfly or the acne crystal clam that she was about to contract, they could all apply a shield. The Nirvana sea butterfly's quenching reinforcement could effectively enhance these shields. At the same time, the surface of the quenched shield could be aggressive. When used on the obsidian iron wild bull, it could make it more reckless. This kind of quenching ability was also very compatible with the burning sunflower twins. The two of them could enhance each other. Chapter 1527. The most important reason was that this Nirvana show butterfly was beautiful enough. With this Nirvana butterfly and acne crystal muscle, she would definitely be able to take off the title of Iron Ox Princess. Lin Yuan returned to the Spirit Lock spatial zone with the Nirvana obsidian butterfly. Seeing the Nirvana butterfly, Zishao immediately perked up. The moment Zishao saw the Nirvana butterfly also noticed Zishao. Butterfly species faes all had the characteristic of pursuing beauty. This Nirvana butterfly had already begun to circle around the purple firmament. He had turned from a cold and aloof fellow into a bootlicker. The Nirvana butterfly was one of the top 3 butterfly bloodlines. Including the slaughter sky butterfly, he had already mastered 2 of the 3 supreme butterfly species bloodlines. Without needing Lin Yuan to say anything, Purple Firmament had already let the Nirvana butterfly absorb the spirit chi in the Spirit Lock spatial zone and rapidly secrete the scale powder. Purple Cloud quickly absorbed the powder secreted by the Nirvana butterfly. Following the absorption of the Nirvana butterfly scale powder, Purple Cloud's quality increased at a visible rate. He advanced from Fantasy I to Fantasy II, then Fantasy III. In the end, it was upgraded to Fantasy V. In Lin Yuan's opinion, there was nothing different about the Purple Firmament. She was as beautiful as ever. The Purple Heaven Beauty butterfly was already at the top of the pyramid in the world of attractiveness. There was no reference for comparison. However, if the current Purple Firmament was compared to the previous Purple Firmament, the Zishao of the past and the current Zishao were on completely different levels of existence. If Fantasy I's Purple Cloud was compared to the hotel's Little Pink, the current Fantasy V Purple Firmament was the Luo River's god of Luo. Since it was so beautiful in its Fey form, Lin Yuan was very curious about how Purple Firmament, a male butterfly, would look when it transformed into its human form. Now all of his Fays were only lacking Chimey and Genius, which had been upgraded to Fantasy V. He would be able to reach the peak of his strength in a short period of time. After 2 more days of hard work, Lin Yuan, who had enhanced all the Fays in the order, finally had some free time. Lin Yuan logged onto Star Web and found that, apart from the popular posts about the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, Sky City, and the Moon Empress Disciple, there were many other popular posts on Star Web's forum. There were also many hot posts about his identity as Black. Lin Yuan could not help but be curious. It had been a while since his identity as Black had shown up. He didn't even challenge the Heaven Stairway. How could it become a hot topic on Star Web? This was simply not right. When Lin Yuan clicked on the post to check, he immediately knew what was going on. It felt like his identity as Black was the result of being spurted out. It was clearly written in the post. Black is no longer worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as Chu Si and Lin Yuan. In the dark and silent months, there was no news at all. If it wasn't an accident, then it was Shang Zhongyong. Talent is just an exaggeration. It was this post that pulled the Star Web netizens' memories of Black. This allowed Black, who had been silent for a long time, to gain a lot of popularity. There were many comments below the post, and they were all attacking the original poster. Light of tomorrow. Isn't Black going to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence? It should be normal for him to not appear during the preparation for the Radiance 100 sequence, right? Mina Sangu, you have to speak with a conscience. No matter what, Black was still a hero who had saved Millstone Town. What are you trying to do by talking about hero? What's the meaning of this? Lost youth, Black had a winning streak and reached the celestial stairway. He possessed a silver/fantasy breed healing type Fae and the legendary blue/purple butterfly. Which of these did not prove Black's talent? Do I have to be seen by others to be considered talented? Can you see the majesties? How dare you say which majesty doesn't have talent and which majesty isn't strong? Brother Chi, I am a male mother, Black is at my house, thank you, our Black is not going to date with you. In addition to these voices of opposition, there were also some voices of agreement. Undead Rave, Black and Lin Yuan have nothing to compete with in the first place. At most they can only compete with Chu Ci. Everyone has seen Black's strength on the celestial stairway. There is no way he can defeat Meng Su. Moreover, Black is wearing a mask. How can you say that Black is younger than Lin Yuan? Mirrored flowers, reflected moon. Chu Ci has a bronze/fantasy breed Fae. There is no comparison between a bronze/fantasy breed Fae and a silver/fantasy breed Fae. He did not know why Black kept scamming Chu Ci and Lin Yuan. Black's fan club and official Tieba forum had not made any moves despite Black's absence. Tian Ningning did not spread any more information about Black. Gradually, the number of people in the group decreased. There were also fewer people in the Tieba forum. The ones who were always active were the old fans who hated him because of his character. In Black's official fan club, Lu Lang, who was known as Zuan Madman. Filled with righteous indignation, he was talking to the people in the group about the Star Web post. He was ready to pick up the keyboard again and strike hard. However, the counterattack of these few people was simply no match for the massive amount of doubts. Time would always drown some things. For example, Black, who had dominated the topic on Star Web a few months ago. Lin Yuan did not know about this because he did not take the post to heart at all. The Radiance 100 sequence test was about to begin. At that time, as long as he used Black's identity and revealed more strength, he would naturally stand in the center of Star Web's public opinion again. All the doubts would be shattered on their own. Just as Lin Yuan was about to check his purchase with No Lost Stores fan club. He wanted to see what he had gained from the auction of the Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearls. However, before Lin Yuan could check his gains, he was touched by a message in the group. Stream in the cloud. Have you seen this post? Why doesn't Black appear to fight a few celestial stairway duels to shatter these doubts? As an old fan of Black, I feel very uncomfortable, but no matter how much I say, I can't change these doubts. Violent-tempered woman, I can't talk anymore. I'm going to pack up immediately and follow Big Sister XN to fight Black's celestial stairway duels. Zhou Jiasen, look at this post. Anyway, Black will always appear in the Radiance 100 sequence selection. Lin Yuan looked at the post shared by Zhou Jiasen and gently clicked on it. It was a group chat message in Black's official fan club. There were tens of thousands of messages, and it was impossible to read them all. However, Lin Yuan could read a special feeling from these messages. It turned out that his identity as Black had unknowingly become a lighthouse in many people's hearts. With so many expectations, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that he had been too lazy to fight the celestial stairway. In fact, it was also a kind of neglect of these people. The power of faith contributed by Black's identity to Lin Yuan was now much less than his identity as the Sky City Lord and the Moon Empress disciple. Even though Black's identity had not appeared for a long time, the light spot of faith belonging to Black in the shrine was still bright. Since they were all waiting for Black's news. Since it was close to the Radiance 100 sequence, Lin Yuan did not mind letting Black show his face to warm up. Chapter 1528. On the one hand, he could use the popularity of this topic to gather some new fans. On the other hand, he could also repay his supporters. Tell them that I'm still here. I'm just working hard in the dark. Lin Yuan exited his Star Web account. He took out his cell phone and called Tian Ningning. Lin Yuan said to Tian Ningning, I'm going to the celestial stairway. I'm going to the celestial stairway. When Tian Ningning heard that, she immediately exclaimed in surprise. As Black's exclusive reporter, Tian Ningning became an administrator of Black's official fan club. The information she got was many times more than what Lin Yuan saw. Tian Ningning had the thought of looking for Lin Yuan and asking him to appear as Black countless times. But in the end he rejected all of these ideas. 2 days ago, Tian Ningning had freeloaded a meal at the Return from Faraway Manor and knew how busy Lin Yuan was recently. Even so, Tian Ningning, who treated black as a kind of faith, watched her faith being slandered. She still felt terrible. Now that she knew Lin Yuan was going to the celestial stairway as black, Tian Ningning immediately said, "Lin Yuan, share with me a first-person perspective. No matter how many matches you fight, I can write the combat record tonight." Lin Yuan smiled and said, "Lin Yuan, share with me a first-person perspective. Today's combat record should be very easy to write. Today's combat record should be very easy to write. You don't need to spend much time." After communicating with Tian Ningning, Lin Yuan logged into Star Web as black. He arrived at the Star Web Tower and matched them. Lin Yuan had already reached Star 14 on the Celestial Stairway, and most of the opponents he encountered had a Platinum Fae. Occasionally he would encounter some strong opponents who might have a Gold or above Fantasy breed Fae. Such strength could be easily dealt with by Lin Yuan in the past. Now Lin Yuan could easily take out one of his Faes and get rid of such opponents, even if it was the Jasmine Lily that focused on healing. However, Lin Yuan couldn't summon a few Faes during the Celestial Stairway duels. This included the Jasmine Lily. Once the Jasmine Lily was summoned, it was equivalent to exposing his identity as Lin Yuan. Once black was exposed, Lin Yuan used black's exclusive skill, Spirit Purity Burst, to attack the opponent's Fae like a humanoid Fae. Perhaps ordinary people on Star Web wouldn't have any reaction. However, those who participated in the Nyx assembly could still easily guess his identity. Genius transformed into a mask and wore it on his face. Chimey was constantly working hard to improve its quality. Lin Yuan did not wish to waste Chimey's time. After all, compared to Genius consuming the Spirit Wisdom Purple Ganoderma to increase its quality, Chimey needed a longer time to increase its quality. Therefore he was only left with the Source Sand and the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee. He planned to let the Diamond X/Legend Acid Corrosion Queen Bee fight at the beginning of the battle. He wanted the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee to hone her combat skills through battle. The improvement of the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee's battle technique would help her understand the Willpower Rune. After Poison Beauty became a contracted live streamer of the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. With the support of the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce, he was now a real live streamer. He no longer needed to be the goalie of the Celestial Stairway and rely on his performance to gain the attention of the fans. Poison Beauty, who relied on the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce to earn money, used all the money she earned to improve her strength. The Faes had been greatly improved based on their previous standards. Among them, Poison Beauty's main Faes, the Illusory Mist Jackdaw and the Poison-Weaving Dark Spider, had reached Platinum. They had also found a Creation Master to raise their quality to Epic. Such strength allowed Poison Beauty to still have room for improvement even if she reached the 14th stair of the Celestial Stairway. Ever since she became a live streamer selling luxury goods, Poison Beauty rarely had time to live stream battles on Star Web. However, the rich Poison Beauty did not forget her old fans. She still live streamed outside of work, fighting, scolding, criticizing, commenting, and muting. However, Poison Beauty, who was live streaming again, was no longer performing. Instead, she intended to test where her limits were. After all, she had spent so much money to enhance Faes. Wouldn't the money she earned be wasted? However, Poison Beauty did not expect that the Star Web duels she carried out in her spare time would increase the stickiness of her fans. Instead, it increased the stickiness of the fans who paid attention to her because of the luxury goods. Poison Beauty, who was matched with an opponent, planned to say harsh words as usual when she was matched with an opponent in a while. She wanted to play with the mentality of a team player. It would also make the audience in her live streaming room more passionate. However, when she saw that the person she was matched with was wearing a silver mask, she was not the only one stunned. Even the audience in Poison Beauty's live streaming room was stunned. It was not that no one on Star Web wore a silver mask during a Star Web duel. It was just that the popularity of the black mask had been decreasing recently. There were also fewer and fewer people imitating it. Furthermore, most of the people who could fight their way to the Celestial Stairway were experts. Experts all hoped to fight in their own style and have their own unique label. Therefore, such imitations were very rare on the Celestial Stairway. Blue Wind and Rain are, this person isn't black, right? Although he is not wearing black clothes, his figure and height are definitely black. If Lin Yuan could see the comments in Poison Beauty's live streaming room, he would definitely roll his eyes. You are simply spouting nonsense. Putting aside the fact that Lin Yuan had grown taller in the past few months, Lin Yuan had consumed the geocentric jade milk, and his entire figure and aura had obviously changed. The female audience in the live streaming room had already noticed this. Lonely little dumb fish. No, no, no. This person is definitely of the highest quality just by looking at his figure. Can't you see that our anti-poison is already smitten? World weariness, anti-poison, quickly come back to your senses. Take a look at the other party's information. Is he black? Even if you don't want to be curious, we still want to know. Smiling and not saying anything, if he is really black, I suggest Beauty and Black get married on the spot. He was able to be matched 3 times on the celestial stairway, and that was when Black rarely fought on the celestial stairway. He was simply a lover for 3 lifetimes. Poison Beauty faced the silver-masked figure. She could clearly feel the aura of the silver-masked figure in front of her. Poison Beauty was very familiar with the aura of the silver-masked figure in front of her. Poison Beauty had only felt such a unique aura from one person. This person was Black. Just as Poison Beauty was about to check the opponent's information with a perturbed mood, she heard the figure standing opposite her speak in a cold voice. Long time no see. Upon hearing this voice, Poison Beauty was sure that the person in front of her was definitely Black. However, Poison Beauty still clicked on the information. Poison Beauty, who had already confirmed the opponent's identity, clicked on the information, but it was not for her to see. It was for the audience in the live streaming room to see. Chapter 1529. At that moment, Poison Beauty could not help but want to kneel on the ground and thank Black. This was already the 3rd time Black had brought her popularity. He was still at the cusp of the storm. Black's appearance and once again facing Poison Beauty's unique skill made the audience in the live streaming room exclaim. Soon, the news of Black's appearance spread from Poison Beauty's live streaming room at the speed of the divine travel Black Swallow. Poison Beauty wanted to stall for time and wait for her live streaming room's popularity to rise a little before starting the duel. However, Lin Yuan did not want to give her this opportunity. With a Diamond X/Fantasy Breed Fae, he could easily reach the 80th step of the Celestial Stairway. Since Lin Yuan planned to expose the Diamond X/Legend Acid Corrosion Queen Bee and the Diamond X/Fantasy V Source Sand, Lin Yuan was going to climb from the 14th stair to the 80th stair tonight. Therefore he did not have time to waste on Poison Beauty. Poison Beauty's plan to use Black to rise in popularity again could only end in vain. A large number of viewers poured into Poison Beauty's live streaming room at every moment. These viewers were frantically spamming the bullet screen. In just a few minutes, the number of Poison Beauty's fans had soared by more than 3 times. Money short of 5 elements? It's really Black. I'm an old fan who has been Black for 6 months. He didn't come out before, but he showed up after being scolded. Is this Black hinting to us to increase our efforts? Passerby, Black finally appeared. How many months has it been? Windflower Xiaoya. As long as Black fights the Celestial Stairway duel, the Celestial Stairway video library can update Black's battle videos again. I have a new video to watch again. Inexhaustible loneliness. Black suddenly appeared. Is he trying to prove something? If he can't show the strength that Lin Yuan used to defeat Meng Su, even if he can defeat Poison Beauty, it won't prove anything. Contrarian little strawberry, did anyone come to my live streaming room to bet? How many matches will Black duel? The more matches I bet, the more I'll lose. There were all kinds of bullet screen comments. Poison Beauty's heart was abnormally excited when she saw these boiling bullet screens. At that moment, she heard Black standing opposite her say, "Summon your Fae." Summon the Fae. If you don't summon your Fae within 3 seconds, I will have no choice but to attack you. Upon hearing that, Poison Beauty waved her hand and summoned her Platinum 6/Epic Illusory Mist Jackdaw and Platinum 9/Epic Poison Weaving Dark Spider. At the same time, he had the Illusory Mist Jackdaw and Poison Weaving Dark Spider spit out illusory mist and poisonous spiderwebs to form a defensive structure. On one side, a person hid in the fog and no one knew what he had summoned. However, it was clear that he had already taken up a defensive stance. Poison Beauty was only thinking about delaying for as long as she could. The longer he dragged it out, the more attention he would gain. At the same time, Poison Beauty knew how much she had improved during this period of time. Therefore, Poison Beauty couldn't help but have the thought of having a good fight with Black in her heart. At that moment, Poison Beauty heard Black speak from outside the fog. Since you've taken up your stance, then let the battle begin. Just as the voice outside the fog finished, Poison Beauty was about to say something to stall for time. A buzzing sound rang out. Poison Beauty didn't have time to react. He did not even see what Fae had attacked his illusory Mist Cold Night and Poison Weaving Dark Spider. The entire duel came to an end. After that, Lin Yuan's celestial stairway automatically rose to the 15th stair. At random, Lin Yuan chose to match again. Under Lin Yuan's attack, Poison Beauty's Star Web live streaming room paused for a few seconds. Then the bullet screen started rolling at the speed of light. Follow heart. What just happened? Did any of you see it clearly? Scar of the Moon. I think it's a dark red insect. It looked like a bee species Fey, but he couldn't see anything else. Colorless flower. Is there any creation master that can tell me what Fey Black is using? Why hadn't Black used it before? The bullet screen of Poison Beauty's live stream was obviously not a good place to communicate. The messages that were sent a second ago had been squeezed out of the hundreds in the next second. Previously, when they were in the Heaven Stairway duel in Black, many scholars, Fey observers, spiritual ingredient analysts, and even creation masters were secretly observing Black's Fey. Among them, a Pinnacle Class 3 creation master who had rushed over to watch the duel between Poison Beauty and Black, opened a post on the forum. The post's title was simple and crude. Black's insect species Fey is at Diamond X/Legend. This Pinnacle Class 3 creation master had made a general analysis of the insect species Fey Black was using through his observation. This analysis post quickly became a trending post on the Star Web. Many people left comments under the post. Existence is reasonable. Diamond X/Legend Fey? Isn't this already the pinnacle standard of the younger generation? Is Black so strong? Galaxy. Black can contract a Diamond Fey. Could Black be a King-class expert? Salted Fish Legend. I also realized this. Wasn't Black's age said to be below 20 years old? How can he become an A-rank spirit chi professional under 20 years old? Therefore, Black can't be a King-class expert. Kite Broken String. For a Y-grade Fey to be able to do this, it seems that Black should be a disciple of a major faction. Wen Chi, what's there to guess? In a while, when a more powerful big shot comes out with an analysis post, I just want to know if Black has carried out the next Celestial Stairway duel. If he has, can I request for a live streaming room link? Just as everyone was guessing if Black had carried out the next Celestial Stairway duel, a very detailed analysis post about Black appeared on the Star Web forum. As soon as this post appeared, it immediately surpassed the other posts. It became the top post for Black's topic. This was because this post was written by a Class 4 creation master. Class 4 creation masters rarely appeared and posted posts to dig up a certain Fey. There were 3 points in the post. First, this Diamond X/Legend insect species was not a Fey but a source-type life form. Second, this insect species source-type life form had been used by Black to fight against the Dragon Gate Guild Club's reserve member, Chen Hongfeng. It was this insect species that had opened a big hole in the abdomen of the gold smooth-toothed dragon lizard a few months ago. Third, this insect species source-type life form was an assassin-type existence and had very strong offensive power. At the end of the post, the Class 4 creation master added, Duan Li, watching this Fey's growth, I know that Black's strength will definitely exceed everyone's imagination. Duan Li, don't forget that Black has more than one fantasy breed Fey. Apart from that healing-type Fey, there is also a blue bird. The person who posted this post was none other than Master Duan Li from the Purchase with No Loss Stores fan club. Chapter 1530. The group had been talking about Black recently, so Master Duan Li decided to find out more about him. She happened to see the live stream today. Facing such a young talent and a Radiance hero at that, Duan Li felt that she should voice out her support. With such strength, he was indeed worthy of her support. The true top experts of the younger generation were probably only as strong as him. If Black had a sacred source life form, he would be able to stand up to the top experts of the younger generation. Such a person should not be slandered. Duan Li could already foresee how dazzling Black would be in the Radiance 100 sequence test. Master Duan Li's post shocked the netizens on the galactic web. It also excited Black's fans. Be it the netizens or Black's old fans, they all exclaimed in their hearts. How could Black be so strong? Did he eat Jinkala? When everyone found Black's tracks again in a live broadcast room, they were shocked. They suddenly realized that Black had gone from Celestial Stairway 15 stars when he defeated Poison Beauty to Celestial Stairway 22 stars now. It was hard to imagine how Black had won 7 consecutive Celestial Stairway duels in less than 20 minutes. Excluding the matching and entry protection time, could it be that every match took less than 10 seconds? The duel on the 22nd floor was still won by the B-Source-type life form. This Star Web streamer who was lucky enough to meet Lin Yuan had a lack of phase. Even when he reached the Celestial Stairway, his reputation was still mediocre. But now, because of Black's popularity, his fans had skyrocketed by nearly 10 times. The star web streamers who realized this, even when they were off the air. They all opened their livestream rooms and started star web matchmaking. They were all looking forward to being lucky enough to match Black. Even if they were killed by Black in one move. No matter how pathetic they were, as long as they met, they would be the topic in popularity. What Lin Yuan did not know was that he had become a gold ingot in the eyes of many star web streamers. Everyone wanted to hug him. Xiang Yang was not a veteran streamer in the star web streamer circle. There were streamers who streamed star web battles from his first battle in the Star Tower all the way to the 50th and 60th floor of the Celestial Stairway. From his youth all the way to his middle age. Xiang Yang had only streamed for 5 or 6 months and had gained a lot of popularity. Firstly, it was because Xiang Yang was eloquent and could easily stir up the atmosphere of the audience during a battle. Secondly, Xiang Yang was a former Radiance 100 sequence member. Although Xiang Yang had failed in the Radiance 100 sequences selection last year, he had not been selected. However, he was still a Radiance 100 sequence member. Those who had the ability to enter the Radiance 100 sequence would be eliminated later on. He could still prove his talent. In Xiang Yang's eyes, the Radiance 100 sequence members were all old coins. Everyone was trying their best to hide their strength. The Radiance 100 sequence members sometimes had to cooperate with the Star Web's publicity and conduct Celestial Stairway duels in public. However, during the duel he did not even pull out his main Fei. He had even used the Fei that he had used during his first appearance on Star Web as his signature Fei to show to the audience. When watching the Radiance 100 sequence members' Celestial Stairway duels, they could only see a celebrity effect. Don't even think about getting anything out of it. This allowed Xiang Yang, who had just started streaming the Stairway duels, to find a direction to stream. Xiang Yang first displayed his strength and fought his way to the 50th step of the Stairway to Heaven. He had revealed a part of his trump card. Then he started to sink. After sinking to the 20th step of the Celestial Stairway, Xiang Yang started to teach the audience in the live streaming room. He used this teaching method to gain a large number of die-hard fans. At that moment, Xiang Yang was also matching like the other Star Web live streamers. He was chatting with the audience in the live streaming room. During the duel in a while, I will teach you how to use the Tiger Species Phase aura in battle. Maple blows fallen leaves. Big Brother Yang, if your opponent doesn't have a Beast Species Fei, the Golden Spear Battle Tiger's aura will be useless. Upon seeing the bullet comments, Xiang Yang smiled and replied. It doesn't matter if the opponent doesn't have a Beast Species Fei. As long as it is a Fei with intelligence, it will be affected by the aura. This is also why Dragon Species, Tiger Species and Phoenix Species Feis are so popular. Ink of Memories, Yang Black is matching at the 20th step of the Celestial Stairway. Do you think he will get you? Upon hearing that, Xiang Yang replied with a chuckle. It will be great if he can get me. I have seen the post you guys shared in the live streaming room just now. A Diamond X/Legend Insect Type Source Type Lifeform Strength is about the same as a Platinum X/Fantasy I Fei. I might not be able to beat Black, but my Golden Spear Battle Tiger should be able to fight with him for a while. Passing high school student, Yang, you are too modest. Your Golden Spear Battle Tiger is a Platinum V/Fantasy II Fei. It has speed, attack and defense. If you really fight, that Insect Type Source Type Lifeform is not your match at all. Growing all the way, Yang, you were a Radiance 100 sequence member previously, and Black is also going to compete for a Radiance 100 sequence position. What do you think are Black's chances of being selected? Xiang Yang did not reply to the first question. Firstly, the Golden Spear Battle Tiger might not be his strongest Fei, but it was already considered one of his trump cards. Black's Insect-type Source-type Lifeform was obviously just the tip of the iceberg that Black had exposed. Black had the ability to promote this Insect-type Source-type Lifeform to Diamond X/Legend. That way he would be able to upgrade his 2 Fantasy Breed Feis to Diamond as well. Diamond/Fantasy Breed Feis were the standard of the Radiance 100 sequence's top 30. Xiang Yang did not think that he could defeat Black. However, Xiang Yang was not stingy with his praises for the following questions. Black entering the Radiance 100 sequence can be said to be a done deal. Just the strength that Black has displayed now is enough to compare with his strength in previous years. However, I wonder what the Radiance 100 sequence's test reform will be like this year. In the Star Web competition, some phase advantages will disappear, and some phase disadvantages will turn into advantages. In the Star Web competition, everyone could go all out. There was no need to consider the risks that the battle would bring to the phase. This made some Fays that exhausted their vitality to fight above their grade become bombs that could easily be detonated. In the real competition for the safety of their Fays, no spirit chi professional would easily detonate this bomb. However, on the star web there was no need to worry when it was activated. This would cause Fays like the Golden Spear Battle Tiger, which was three-dimensional but did not have explosive abilities, to be collectively weakened. Chapter 1531. Of course, Xiang Yang could only think about it in his heart and not say it out loud. Suddenly, Xiang Yang was matched with an opponent and was pulled into the battle space. At this moment, Xiang Yang was surprised to discover something. The opponent he was matched with was actually really black. Xiang Yang waved his hand and summoned the Golden Spear Battle Tiger. He raised his head and said to the audience in the live broadcast room, "If black still uses that insect-type source-type life form, the advantage of the Golden Spear Battle Tiger will really be useful. Sometimes, might can be fused into an attack to be used." As usual, Xiang Yang started teaching in the live stream. At this time, a large number of viewers heard the news and rushed into the live broadcast room. They could not help but recognize him. He was the former Radiance 100 Sequence 94 Xiang Yang who was titled Twin Tigers. Then he clicked on Xiang Yang's follow button. The star web was simply too big. As a second world that carried the Hui Yao and all the ordinary people, the star web was freer. This made it so that even though Xiang Yang had started a live broadcast, not many people noticed him. Xiang Yang's livestream room had become an entrance to traffic. It attracted the attention of the viewers who discovered this treasure. On Lin Yuan's side, he also realized that he had encountered another host. Lin Yuan had previously checked the Radiance 100 Sequence members' information in detail. Lin Yuan recognized that Xiang Yang was a former Radiance 100 Sequence member. Lin Yuan simply nodded at Xiang Yang. Lin Yuan's action startled Xiang Yang, and he knew that Lin Yuan had recognized him. He saw that the number of viewers in his live streaming room had increased from a few million to tens of millions. And it was still increasing. Xiang Yang waved his hand and summoned his main Fei. An 8-meter-long multicolored tiger roared fiercely. A murderous aura filled the air. The multicolored tiger's might made the platinum/fantasy gold spear battle tiger lose all sense of existence. Upon seeing the Fei that Xiang Yang had summoned, Lin Yuan immediately checked it. With a glance, he realized that this Fei was called the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger. Its strength was at Platinum X/Fantasy 3, and it was considered an outstanding existence among tiger species Feis. Lin Yuan could sense that Xiang Yang was a B-rank spirit chi professional. It seemed like Xiang Yang had not gone through the roll step. Otherwise, the Fei's strength should be able to reach Diamond easily. Xiang Yang did not hesitate to summon his trump card, winning the applause of the audience in the live broadcast room. This made Black's fans extremely excited. They all started to tip Xiang Yang's livestream. In the eyes of Black's fans, it was too difficult for Black to do business. Xiang Yang's current behavior was equivalent to forcing Black to expose more Feis. Black's insect-type source-type life form was clearly no longer a match for the Platinum X/Fantasy 3 Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger. Lin Yuan looked at Xiang Yang's main Fei and had a trace of doubt in his heart. He did not understand why Xiang Yang had been eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence with his strength. Even if Xiang Yang had made great progress in the past year, he would not be able to do so. 1 year ago, it should not have been difficult to rank in the top 60 of the Radiance 100 sequence. Xiang Yang had mixed feelings as he looked at the audience's praises. During the Radiance 100 sequence selection, his Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger had obtained a fortuitous encounter, evolved its bloodline, and fallen into a deep sleep. He could not just rely on the Golden Spear Battle Tiger to fight and be eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence. After the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger was eliminated, Xiang Yang was glad that the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger's bloodline had successfully transformed. It was a pity that after being eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence, he would only be able to apply for the test again after 1 year. Otherwise, Xiang Yang would have appeared in this year's Radiance 100 sequence again. Xiang Yang said while looking at Black. Black, I suggest that you open a Star Web live streaming room the next time you fight a Celestial Stairway duel. Right now, almost everyone in my live broadcast room is your fans. They are all looking forward to your duel. I have summoned my trump card. I should be able to use one more Fei than you. Xiang Yang raised his head and said to the live stream room. I helped you guys get some benefits. Don't forget to follow me. As soon as Xiang Yang finished speaking, someone in the live broadcast room immediately responded. Zuan, got it? If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have seen Black on Star Web for half a year. Violent-tempered woman, So can you work harder and force Black to summon another Fae? Upon hearing Xiang Yang's words, Lin Yuan shook his wrist. An amber button-like object landed at Lin Yuan's feet. The last time he had used the source sand in the Star Web duel, he had been matched with a wilderness. This time he was matched with an arena made of green bricks and white tiles. The source sand burrowed into the ground and broke a hole in the floor tiles. Many people noticed the abnormality under Lin Yuan's feet. Lin Yuan still sent out the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee when facing an opponent stronger than the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee. After fighting for a while, he didn't have the chance to replenish his acid-swallowing larvae. The Acid Corrosion Queen Bee was soon at a disadvantage. In the end, he was killed by the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger with a single claw strike. In the process of fighting, Lin Yuan spent a lot of time. The Acid Corrosion Queen Bee needed to comprehend a willpower rune to advance into a fantasy breed. This kind of evenly matched fight was what the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee needed. Therefore he did not mind wasting this time. There were no more Faes in front of Lin Yuan. As long as the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger and the Golden Spear Battle Tiger pounced at Lin Yuan, they could easily kill him. However, Xiang Yang did not order the Golden Spear Battle Tiger and the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger to do so. Instead he smiled and said, "Black, it's time for you to summon your next Fae." Lin Yuan originally planned to wait for Xiang Yang to attack before counterattacking the two tiger species Faes. Since Xiang Yang said so, Lin Yuan responded, "Then I'll attack." As soon as Lin Yuan finished speaking, the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger and the Golden Spear Battle Tiger's feet suddenly turned into sand. Two huge palms grabbed the Golden Spear Battle Tiger and the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger. The two giant tigers' bodies collided fiercely with each other. The entire battle ended again. Black's combat power refreshed Xiang Yang's understanding and the Star Web live streaming room's audience's understanding. Walk, my mom asked me why I kneel to eat? I'm stunned. Why does Black always refresh my understanding? Wolf of the North, this is an instant kill. What is the concept of instantly killing two platinum/fantasy breed Faes? Someone tell me. Hometown, what are you waiting for? Black Bull coins. Immediately after, Xiang Yang's live streaming room was flooded with Black Bull coins. After Xiang Yang returned to his live streaming room, he recovered from the shock. He also posted Black Bull coins on the bullet screen. Xiang Yang's behavior had attracted many passers-by. At that moment, Master Duan Li, who was watching the live streaming, quickly posted another post about Black's new Fae. Chapter 1532. In the post, Master Duan Li pointed out that Black's elemental source-type life form was a diamond/fantasy breed. As for the specific grade and quality, Black had not used his full strength. Moreover, he had only used the sand particles controlled by the elemental source-type life form, so there was no way to analyze it. Master Duan Li's post revealed two pieces of information. The first was a diamond/fantasy breed. The second was an elemental source-type life form. These two pieces of information shocked the Star Web audience. A diamond/fantasy breed was already a match for the top 30 of the Radiance 100 sequence. Black had a diamond/fantasy breed life form. Didn't that mean that he had the ability to enter the Radiance 100 sequence in the second year? Was he trying to enter the top 30? Many posts had been clamoring that Black's ability was not as good as Lin Yuan and Chu Ci. Now it seemed that Chu Ci had a bronze/fantasy breed Fae at the age of 15. This kind of talent was still comparable to Black's. However, the strength that Lin Yuan had shown in defeating Meng Su was not enough in front of Black. Lin Yuan's fighting style was the red light that could absorb vitality. However, if Black used the yellow sand to block, the light could not penetrate the yellow sand. The yellow sand itself did not have any vitality for Lin Yuan to absorb. When comparing geniuses, one would always be praised and the other would be stepped on. This made many of Lin Yuan's fans restless. In addition, many of the veteran factions and top factions recognized Lin Yuan's identity at the Nyx assembly. Looking at Star Web, some people praised Black and stepped on Lin Yuan. The top factions and the younger generation of the veteran factions all made a move. How dare you say that the Moon Empress disciple is not as strong as Black? Black might be strong, but does he have a sacred source life form? Does he have the ability to resist the attack of a Diamond X/Fantasy V Fae with just his physical body? Lin Yuan, who was fighting on Star Web, realized that the power of faith of Lin Yuan and Black's identities was rapidly increasing. This made Lin Yuan feel that he could have a few more celestial stairway duels if he had time. From there, he could harvest the power of faith so that Blue could quickly become a fantasy breed. Lin Yuan did not stop and continued to fight. he found that almost all his opponents were star web streamers. After all, few people did not want to grasp such a good opportunity. However, no matter how hard they tried, they could not force Lin Yuan to use a second move. Every time the opponent summoned a fey, a giant yellow sand hand would appear and end the battle. In 2 hours, Lin Yuan had gone from the 14th to the 50th celestial stairway. This speed once again refreshed the star web's data. And more importantly, until now Lin Yuan still maintained a winning record. He might not be at the top of Star Tower's celestial stairway streak list. However, he had also risen to 6th place. Very few people could achieve 50 consecutive victories on the Heaven Stairway. After all, no one knew what kind of opponent they would be matched with. There were many star web anchors on the Celestial Stairway. He clearly had the ability to fight his way to the 60th or the 70th step, but he was stuck at the 34th step. There were even 20 to 30 floors. Therefore, even the person who ranked first on the Stairway's winning streak leaderboard only had 63 consecutive wins. This was the highest record since the Radiant Star Web had been established. And the one who maintained this winning streak was none other than himself. It was the current Radiance envoy of the Radiance sect, Qi Ruo. Everyone was guessing if Black could break Qi Ruo's Celestial Stairway winning streak. The Celestial Stairway winning streak and the Star Tower winning streak were two different things. The Celestial Stairway's winning streak list was much more valuable than the Star Tower's winning streak list. Once Black broke Qi Ruo's winning streak record, his virtual image would be placed on the Celestial Stairway's celebrity altar. Previously, Lin Yuan had broken the Star Web's record with 100 consecutive wins. His virtual image would only be placed on the bronze altar. For everyone in the Radiant Star Society, being able to place his virtual image on the celebrity altar was a supreme honor. It was a supreme honor. If Black broke Qi Ruo's winning streak record, it would undoubtedly mean that Black's talent was comparable to Qi Ruo's. The veteran faction members and the top faction members who were paying attention to this matter thought to themselves, if Black could break Qi Ruo's record, Black would participate in the Radiance Envoy selection because of this achievement, and he would gain a lot of hidden points. Under the expectations and attention of the Star Web netizens, Lin Yuan once again rode the waves. Xiang Yang could rely on his strength to fight his way to the Celestial Stairway's 50th step. The 50th step's opponent could not cause much pressure to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan had a winning streak and reached the 63rd step. It was still the giant yellow sand hand that easily and neatly ended the battle. On the Celestial Stairway's winning streak list, the name that had stood for a long time and no one could shake it. Suddenly, it flickered slightly with the second name and exchanged places. At that moment, the people who were paying attention to this duel on Star Web could not help but have a feeling that they were witnessing history. The person who fought with Black on the 26th Celestial Stairway duel found out later. It turned out that he had actually been written into the Radiance Envoy's history because of this coincidence. It could be said that tonight was a carnival for Black's fans, and it also allowed him to gain more fans. The topic of Black participating in the 100 sequence selection was mentioned again. However, when it was mentioned again, it was no longer about whether Black could be selected into the Radiance 100 sequence. It was about Black's true strength and what rank he could be in the Radiance 100 sequence. This duel that had subverted the entire era was just a small fight to Lin Yuan. Or rather, Lin Yuan did not know about this at all. Lin Yuan continued to duel and found that there was no one who could fight all the way to the 75th step. It seemed that the best way to upgrade the Source Sand to Diamond X/Fantasy V was to use. Even if it was just the explosive power of the compressed sand, it was still enough to defeat a Diamond 3/Fantasy V Fey. From the excitement brought by the rewriting of history, to the excitement brought by the successive changes in history, to the numbness in the end. In the next 2 hours, Black's fans went through all of these experiences once again. They looked at the winning streak behind Black, and the number jumped to 76. Black's fans had long been accustomed to all of this. However, this matter was a major event that shook the entire Star Web. This matter was even reported to the Radiance Sacred Hall, the Radiance Imperial Court, the Spirit Guards and many other departments at the same time. Just as Lin Yuan finished the 79th step and was ready to match the 80th step, he saw the Star Web officials send him an email. V-Star Web. Black, congratulations on breaking the Celestial Stairway's winning streak record. We will create another virtual image for you. Your virtual image will stand on the Celestial Stairway's celebrity list's golden altar. The golden altar was different from the bronze altar. The virtual image of the golden altar included the Fey to control. You can choose 3 or more Feys to configure your virtual avatar. Chapter 1533. In addition, since you have broken the record on the Celestial Stairway streak list, you can pass a challenge to determine if you can obtain the Sanctuary title. If you accept the challenge, we will arrange your duel in the next round. This duel will be broadcasted live on Star Web. Lin Yuan raised his brows when he saw the email from the Star Web officials. He had come to challenge the Celestial Stairway because he saw so many fans waiting for him. They were all fans. In addition, he felt that he was simply too bored after fighting for so long. Generally, only experts who reached the Celestial Stairway's 100th step and above would be arranged by Star Web to take the Sanctuary test, to see if they could obtain the Sanctuary title. Under normal circumstances, those with the Sanctuary title were experts with Diamond X/Fantasy V phase. Of course, there were also some Pinnacle King-class experts who reached the Celestial Stairway's 100th step. They still could not obtain the Sanctuary title. Such people were generally known as the Sanctuary Gatekeepers. Lin Yuan, who was bored, simply agreed to Star Web's arrangement. It was not a bad thing for the last duel to be broadcasted live on Star Web. After receiving Lin Yuan's reply, the person in charge of Star Web immediately replied excitedly. Star Web, please give Star Web 3 hours of publicity time. 3 hours later, the duel will be arranged at the Starlight Gladiator Arena. At that time, you will be matched with a corresponding opponent. Upon seeing the message from the Star Web officials, Lin Yuan simply logged out of Star Web temporarily. He was going to wait for more than 2 hours before going online for the last duel. Lin Yuan actually did not have many special feelings about winning so many duels in a row. If he had to find an emotion, Lin Yuan felt that so many Celestial Stairway duels should be quite boring. Lin Yuan fought 65 Celestial Stairway duels in a row. The first 30 duels were defeated by the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee in one strike. Later on, the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee fought with the enemy and was killed. Then Lin Yuan let the Source Sand attack and defeat the enemy. This feeling was like playing a mobile game. He had to refresh the same map over and over again, and he had to keep watching. Lin Yuan stretched his body and picked up a book on the table to read. Although Genius had comprehended the Knowledge Willpower rune, Lin Yuan had never abandoned the habit of reading books. Lin Yuan's phase strength had basically been raised to the limit. Unless he broke through as a spirit chi professional, there would be no room for the Fae to be enhanced. Ever since Morbius had fallen asleep, he had not communicated with it for a long time. Right now, he was most eager to comprehend a willpower rune related to the soul. He wanted the Psychic Whale to become a fantasy breed and have a breakthrough in strength. At that time, Morbius might very well wake up with the opportunity of breaking through to the gold rank. However, he had no clue about the willpower rune related to the soul. At that moment, Lin Yuan was leisurely reading a book as though nothing had happened. However, Star Web was seething because of what Lin Yuan had just done. No matter how many fans followed Black, they were only a small portion of Star Web netizens. As for the Celestial Stairway winning streak leaderboard, it caused the entire Star Web to celebrate. It was no longer just targeting Yuhei. Star Web's famous reporters all sent out related news articles. Star Web streamers who did not have the chance to be blacklisted. He even played the video of the Black duel in his live stream to attract more fans. Black's official fan group was in an uproar. A large number of people entered the group, and the administrator could not review all of them. As a result, Lu Lang, who was usually the most talkative person in the fan group, became mute. He could only keep sifting through the user information. Apart from the Star Web netizens, the Star Web staff were even more excited. At first, when sending a message to Black, the Star Web staff was just trying their luck. They did not expect Black to reply immediately. Black was an old troublemaker on Star Web. There were probably not many people on Star Web who refused to add anyone as a friend. The change of the Celestial Stairway winning streak leaderboard was a major event on Star Web. In a while, the news of Black's public duel at the Starlight Gladiator Arena would be pushed to every Star Web user. This duel would determine whether Black could successfully enter the Sanctuary Hall. Therefore, they had to pay special attention to the choice of opponent. This put the Star Web staff in a difficult position. The staff found the Star Web manager and asked, "Big Brother Wang, matching Black with an opponent is really difficult for us. Brother Wang, matching Black with an opponent is too difficult for us. We need you to come up with an idea." Upon hearing his subordinate's question, Wang Zhong felt his head swelling again. This duel that was open to the entire Star Web had the nature of an exhibition match. Apart from a head-on clash of strength, it had to be exciting. This was the only way to achieve the publicity effect. Every spirit chi professional's abilities and contracted phase were different. They had to choose the corresponding opponent according to the spirit chi professional's phase and abilities to ensure an exciting duel. However, Star Web did not know what Black's phase were or how many he had. Wang Zhong had thought of using his authority to check Black's Star Web information. From there he could understand Black's real-time data. However, after checking, Wang Zhong found out that Black's information had been encrypted. Furthermore, Black's authority was even higher than his. He was not qualified to check Black's information. This level of encryption could only be done by the three lords who had built Star Web. Furthermore, the three lords could not check each other's encrypted information. If Wang Zhong wanted to check Black's information, the lord who had encrypted it would definitely know. Since this lord valued Black so much, Wang Zhong did not know how to arrange an opponent for Black. Therefore, Wang Zhong simply sent a letter and handed it over to them. He was prepared to see the lord's opinion. The Spirit Guards, the Radiance Royal Court, the Radiance Sacred Hall, and many other departments had received the news of the change of the Celestial Stairway's winning streak list. In the Radiance Royal Court, an old man sitting on a reclining chair looked at the young girl next to him with loving eyes. "Qing, you always refuse to accept this and that. You have nothing to say now, right? You didn't break the Celestial Stairway's winning streak record, but someone else did. It's a winning streak, unlike you and Qi Ruo, who had fought for 1.5 years. The young girl called Qing beside the old man had a slight change in her eyes. She knew very well how difficult it was to win 50 consecutive duels on the Celestial Stairway. She had only won 50 duels in a year and had almost failed several times. Of course, this had a lot to do with her luck. Therefore, she felt that the Celestial Stairway's winning streak list was a list determined by luck. Chapter 1534. But now, for a person to win 63 battles in a row, it was definitely not as simple as luck. However, the young girl was still somewhat unconvinced. "Grandpa, maybe this person is a king stage expert who has never climbed the stairway to heaven and climbed all the way up?" The old man let out a sigh. He shook his head and said, "Qing, I don't know how long it will take for you to change your unyielding personality. With your temperament, you're not suitable to be a Radiance envoy. If you still can't recognize the excellence of others after 2 years, then don't fight for the Radiance envoy position. I just need to fight for a position in the Radiant Light Knight Order." As he spoke, the old man's tone became serious. The girl felt a little wronged and muttered, "I bet he's over 30 years old." The old man replied, "He should be a year younger than you." The old man had personally seen Lin Yuan at the Great Night Assembly. Right now, there was only one person that Mystic Moon had personally encrypted on the Star Web. It was obvious that this person was the Moon Empress disciple. It seems like the Moon Empress disciple likes to create an alternate identity. It was still Black, the disciple of His Holiness, and the Castellan of Sky City. He could switch between these three identities seamlessly. The old man did not feel that there was anything wrong with this. Instead, he was extremely impressed. Thinking back to when he was young, he also had a few aliases. When the young girl heard the old man's words, her eyes darkened and she didn't say a word. After a long while he finally said, "Grandpa, I'm going to train." The old man sighed again as he watched the girl leave. "Qinger, when will you realize that for Radiance envoys, strength isn't everything? As one of the components of the Star Web, as long as Lin Yuan logged onto the Star Web, Mystic Moon would be able to access the Star Web." He had been secretly paying attention to Lin Yuan's news. Thus, Mystic Moon could be said to be the first person to witness Lin Yuan's achievements. Mystic Moon was very proud of Lin Yuan. Mystic Moon could imagine how happy the Moon Empress would be after she came out of seclusion. When he saw the secret letter sent by the Star Web staff asking him how he should match Black with an opponent, he was stunned. Xianyu snorted lightly. Without receiving a reply, he sent the letter back. What did Wang Zhong, the manager of Star Web, mean? Could it be that I would open the back door for His Highness? The Radiant Moon Palace had never opened the back door when doing things. After Wang Zhong received Xianyu's reply, he knew that she meant for him to make arrangements as he pleased. Although Wang Zhong was a little perturbed, this lord did not express his opinion. For the sake of the excitement of the duel, he could only apologize to Black. In this kind of public duel, if one wasn't sure how to match an opponent. In order to ensure excitement, the stronger the opponent, the better. The stronger the opponent, the more intense the battle. Black had made history by setting a new record on the Stairway winning streak leaderboard. Winning was just breaking another record. From Wang Zhong's point of view, breaking the records consecutively had brought excitement to the audience. It was not as exciting as Black's loss in the Starlight Arena. Wang Zhong instructed his subordinates. Go and find all the sanctuary-level gatekeepers on the 100th step of the heavenly stairway. I'll pick one myself. The staff below scratched his head and said, Brother Wang, there are quite a number of national-level goalkeepers on the 100th step of the stairway to heaven. I found all of them for you. Do you think you can't sift through them in less than a day? Wang Zhong rolled his eyes and said, Then find me a goalkeeper with a Diamond X/Fantasy V Fei who can defend for more than 10 matches. The staff below looked at each other when they heard this. They knew that Brother Wang wanted to find a strong opponent for Black as much as possible. It seemed like Black would not be able to create another miracle and enter the sanctuary level. However, Brother Wang's arrangement could guarantee that the duel would be absolutely exciting. He could also force Black to reveal as many of his trump cards as he could, and see the extent of Black's true strength. The process of Black gradually revealing his strength would undoubtedly be too much for the audience to take in. Finally, after searching for a while, Wang Zhong's eyes landed on a piece of information. Lu Shuang, there are already over 20 contestants on the 100th step of the Celestial Stairway, right? As a Celestial Stairway goalkeeper of this level, Lu Shuang was already capable of obtaining the Sanctuary level title. She had not obtained the Sanctuary level title because she wanted to prevent others from advancing to the Sanctuary level. It was also so that she could create more program effects during the livestream. Lu Shuang was able to stir up the Sanctuary level on the 100th step of the Celestial Stairway. With such capabilities, Lu Shuang was already considered one of the strongest livestreamers on Star Web. Those who obtained the Hall Division title would receive a considerable monthly salary from Star Web. If they were to fight, it would be an exhibition match at the Sanctuary level. As a livestreamer, Lu Shuang should be very willing to ride on Black's popularity. It would allow her livestream room's popularity to skyrocket again. Most importantly, Lu Shuang was a spiritual type spirit chi professional. Her contracted phase were adept at spiritual attacks. Among the two contracted phase, one was adept at spiritual control, while the other was adept at hypnosis. Spirit type phase were very good at restraining elemental source type lifeforms. Originally, Black was a healing type spirit chi professional. According to the usual practice, a sanctuary level opponent should also be arranged with a healing type spirit chi professional. However, Wang Zhong did not care so much. How did Black look like a healing type spirit chi professional? It was even more ferocious than combat type spirit chi professionals. Black, this troublemaker, had finally agreed to an exhibition match. If Wang Zhong did not take advantage of him, he would be letting down the masses on Star Web. After making the decision, Wang Zhong personally sent a Star Web message to all the Star Web netizens. Star Web. At 8 p.m. sharp, the Starlight Arena will host a public duel between Black and Lu Shuang. If Black defeats Lu Shuang, Black will obtain the Sanctuary level title on the 80th floor. This Star Web official message immediately caused an uproar on the Star Web. It gave off the atmosphere of the tournament finals. Lu Shuang was also a celebrity on Star Web, and her fame was not inferior to Black. When Lu Shuang livestreamed, she had created a set of straightforward words that were sharp and venomous. She had the mentality of a troublemaker. More importantly, Lu Shuang was known as the Sanctuary level door god. Even some Sanctuary level opponents might not be able to defeat Lu Shuang. What was the Star Web official thinking? Why did they arrange such an opponent for Black? If it was someone else arranged for Lu Shuang to duel with the Star Web official, the fans would have already exploded. However, when Black was arranged to have a Celestial Stairway duel with Lu Shuang, the happiest ones would be Black's fans. Light of the bright moon, thank you Star Web official. The Star Web official finally did something. Our Black's fans will remember you. The Star Web official is awesome. Chapter 1535. Holy Justice Fist. If Black encounters Lu Shuang, he will have to expose all his phase, right? I really want to know what other phase Black has. A melancholic rape flower. I don't know why, but as a fan of Black, I feel excited when I see Black getting beaten up. FY, don't say anything. I will go and snatch the Star Web Arena's tickets now. Fickle little radish. You people are busy sending messages and you still want to snatch the tickets? I just saw the Star Web push and went to snatch the tickets, but the Starlight Arena's tickets are already sold out. Immediately after, there was a cry on the Star Web. This was because more and more people had discovered the fact that the tickets had all been sold out. Each Star Web account could only buy one ticket to the Starlight Arena. There was no such thing as hoarding scalp tickets in real life. Therefore, unless one found someone to transfer the tickets, there was no way to get another ticket. The Starlight Arena's tickets, which were originally priced at 5,000 Federation dollars, were instantly hyped up. Many rich people were willing to pay 50 Radiance dollars, which was 100 times the premium, to get a ticket to the Starlight Arena. Those who managed to snatch the Star Web Arena's tickets weren't just rich people. A large portion of them had to work hard to make a living. These people were very willing to sell their 5,000 Federation dollars to buy the Starlight Arena's tickets in exchange for 50 Radiance dollars. For an ordinary family, 50 Radiance dollars was enough to start a prosperous small business. Lin Yuan, who was reading a book, saw that it was about time and logged onto the Star Web. The last time Lin Yuan visited the Starlight Arena was when he logged onto the Star Web for the first time. At that time, Lin Yuan was a bystander. He was watching the duel between the Radiance 100 sequence members, White Devil Daisy and Unknown Flame Anna. At that time, Lin Yuan had thought that one day, he might also step onto the Starlight Arena under everyone's eyes. It had only been slightly over 9 months and Lin Yuan had already done it. The countdown began. When the countdown reached 0, Lin Yuan appeared in the center of the Starlight Arena. The surroundings were filled with cheers and clamors. The Starlight Arena could accommodate 1.5 million people at the same time. It was hard for one's blood to not boil with excitement. Black. Quickly take off your mask. If you are handsome, I am willing to bear your children. I am willing even if Black isn't handsome. If you reveal your phone number now, at least half of the girls here will add you as a friend. Lu Shuang, quickly bring out your strongest strength and force Black to summon all of his fays. Beat him up. Lu Shuang, quickly scold your opponent like usual. When the time comes, I'll go to your live stream and reward you with gifts. If you can make Black cry, I'm yours. Hurry up and start. I want to see Black summon a Fae. Lin Yuan, who had agreed to the Star Web's public duel, did not know what the Star Web was thinking. Upon hearing the surrounding shouts, Lin Yuan could roughly guess. The opponent he was matched with was very strong. Now that he had revealed his Diamond X/Fantasy V Source Sand, it was impossible for him to win. The audience still felt that this female spirit chi professional Lu Shuang could beat them up. This meant that Lu Shuang had at least a Diamond X/Fantasy V Fae. As for whether Lu Shuang had a myth breed Fae, Lin Yuan did not even consider it. If Lu Shuang really had a myth breed Fae, it was impossible for the Star Web officials to arrange it for him. If they really arranged it for him, it would be equivalent to a public accident. Lu Shuang was originally live streaming and had also paid attention to Black's refresh of the Celestial Stairway streak list. Lu Shuang was very envious of those streamers who were matched with Black. Those anchors who could not be compared to him at all because they were matched with Black. The popularity of the live stream was almost catching up to her. Lu Shuang was rather envious. If she had encountered such a fortuitous encounter when she was live streaming in her early years, in that case the money earned from the live broadcast would be enough to increase his strength. At the very least, it would not be difficult to promote a Fae to a myth breed. After becoming an Emperor-class expert, it would be a good choice to join a veteran top-notch faction with potential or a top-notch faction. It would be better than live streaming on the Star Web. Due to a strange combination of factors, she, who was already famous, had the opportunity to explode in traffic. Lu Shuang regarded this duel between Black and Long as a turning point in her life. Black had just created history with 65 consecutive wins on the Celestial Stairway. If she defeated Black, it would be the same as defeating a history maker. This would undoubtedly cause her value to skyrocket. By then, there would definitely be a faction that would invite her to join. After joining a faction, she would rely on the faction's resources to increase her strength. On the other hand, she would rely on Black's popularity to live stream on the Star Web to earn money. Not only would she be able to leave a reputation, but she might even be able to see her Fae transform into a human form in her lifetime. She might even be able to touch the Emperor class. Her Faes were all spiritual type Faes and were very special. When spiritual type Faes fought, they often relied on pervasive spiritual attacks. Therefore, he could unleash his full strength from the very beginning and create the illusion that he had killed Black in one hit. If she could instantly kill Black with a single attack, her reputation on the Star Web would undoubtedly be higher than simply defeating Black. Lu Shuang, who had made up her mind, waved her hand and summoned her 3 Faes. 2 large white snakes that looked exactly the same were entrenched on both sides of Lu Shuang. Each snake's scales were like hooks that grew outwards, looking abnormally sinister and terrifying. The scales on the snake's head were completely exposed, and the trembling scales let out a rustling sound. The dark red snake's tongue flickered out of its lips, and its dark red eyes flickered with evil purple light. The snake's tail slammed on the ground, causing ripples to spread out. However, these ripples weren't due to wind pressure, but materialized spiritual energy. In the middle of the two large snakes was a dark silver giraffe that was about 20 meters in height. The strange thing was that this giraffe had a pair of rhinoceros horns on its head. The towering rhinoceros horns were like a signal tower that splashed out a steady stream of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy that sprayed out turned into raindrops and condensed into a pervasive defensive force field. The raindrops splashed on the ground and turned into spiritual energy ripples. They were then retracted by the rhinoceros horns and the cycle repeated. With the flow of spiritual energy, the two white phosphorus snakes' auras rose a little. It was obvious that the spiritual energy rain sprayed out by the rhinoceros horns had an extremely strong enhancement effect on spiritual energy. Lu Shuang had revealed all her trump cards right from the start. The audience that was familiar with Lu Shuang couldn't help but exclaim, "That's not right. Shuangzi would normally only summon one Earth Witch snake in battle. He would only summon both Earth Witch snakes when he encounters a powerful enemy. Why did he summon the exquisite rhinoceros deer?" Chapter 1536. Isn't the exquisite rhinoceros deer cannon Shuang's cannon? Shuang pulled out the cannon and is going to open fire. How is Shuang going to force Black to summon more phase if she opens fire? Black is obviously a young man. Shuang is already in her 40s. She's already in her 20s, yet she's planning to eat him. When Lin Yuan's opponent summoned her phase, the source sand had already entered Lin Yuan's feet and started to create sand. 100-degree search. Ultimate Doloa. At the same time, Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to check on Lu Shuang's 3 phase. At a glance, Lin Yuan discovered that the two white phosphorus snakes were called Earth Witch snakes. Their strength was at Diamond X/Fantasy 3, and they were divine phase that focused on spiritual attacks. The two Earth Witch snakes' exclusive skills were Frowny Face Coiling Snake Charm. The snake's coiling body gently rotates to form a special attractive force that attracts phase into an infatuated state. The effect is doubled on reptile-type phase. Sleeping Hiss. Through the spiritual power fluctuation spread by the snake's hiss, it can weaken the target's battle intent and cause the target to enter a state of deep sleep, drowsiness, or fainting. As the duration of the hiss increases, the target will become more controlled. The skills of the two witchcraft snakes were all offensive. Coupled with this control-type exclusive skill, the two Earth Witch snakes became more well-rounded. It was also a spiritual-type offensive fae that was disliked in the wild. It could play a controlling role in a team. These two Earth Witch snakes' diamond abilities were the same. They sacrificed themselves to enhance other spiritual-type phase abilities. Snake Shedding Egg. Extract all of its spiritual power and flesh energy, degenerate into a juvenile state, and inject the extracted spiritual power and flesh energy into a selected target to enhance the target's spiritual power and physical recovery ability. The Snake Shedding Egg ability of these two Earth Witch snakes was an ability that could only be used in a life-and-death situation in reality. Injecting spiritual power and life energy into another target's body and degenerating into a juvenile state would result in a drop in grade. This ability was almost useless in reality, but because of the Star Web's characteristics, it was an extremely useful ability. Just the spiritual power enhancement of the two Earth Witch snakes could allow any spiritual-type fae to have the ability to fight beyond their grade. For example, the exquisite rhinoceros deer opposite them, which was not very aggressive. Fae name: Exquisite rhinoceros deer, Fae species, giraffe/rhinoceros, Fae grade, diamond 10 out of 10, Fae type, spiritual, Fae quality, fantasy V abilities. Frowny Face Rhinoceros Beam condenses mental power into the rhinoceros horn and releases the concentrated mental power through the horn to attack the target. Dual Deer Brain. Double brain to store spiritual power and stores spiritual power. Long Neck Trumpet. Activates spirit energy through the trumpet's trumpet. It can instantly activate the target's spirit energy and increase the speed of channeling spirit energy. Spiritual Seal. By consuming the same amount of spiritual power as the target, both its spiritual power and the target's spiritual power will be erased at the same time. Spiritual Rain. Passively applies a spiritual field effect and spreads its spiritual power to the surrounding environment, turning the surrounding environment into a spiritual power expansion area. The spiritual power raindrops can increase the spiritual power of its own target and weaken the spiritual power of its enemy. Soul Rhinoceros Horn. spiritualizes the rhinoceros horn on the head and uses the spiritualized rhinoceros horn as a carrier to rapidly absorb all its spiritual power and launch it as a weapon. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Spiritual Lotus. Under the effect of spiritual power enhancement, the spiritual power enhancement effect will be increased correspondingly from the original foundation. Essence Vitality Blood. When the body is injured, it can consume its spiritual power to heal the physical injury. The area healed by the spiritual power will have a certain deterrence effect. When the target attacks the wound again, the target's spiritual power will be deterred. This exquisite rhinoceros deer's attack was not strong, and its general attack skill was only the normal rhinoceros ray. However, it was undeniable that this exquisite rhinoceros deer was the most comprehensive spiritual type Fae that Lin Yuan had ever seen. This exquisite rhinoceros deer was an all-rounder in attack, support, defense, control, and healing. All 5 of them fused into one. In addition, it had 2 exclusive skills with strong control, Earth Witch Snakes. As a result, this spirit chi professional named Lu Shuang had almost no shortcomings. The exquisite rhinoceros deer's elite ability, Dual Deer Brain, allowed it to have a higher spiritual power reserve than spiritual type Faes of the same grade. With the Dual Deer Brain ability, Lu Shuang's exquisite rhinoceros deer was equivalent to the total spiritual power of 2 exquisite rhinoceros deer under normal circumstances. The silver ability, Deer Neck Trumpet, was an ability that activated spiritual power, which was equivalent to increasing the spiritual type phase casting speed. Spiritual type phase had to rely on casting to be able to attack, defend, or control. Increasing the casting speed was equivalent to increasing the overall attack, defense, and control ability. In Lin Yuan's opinion, the gold spiritual seal was an extremely domineering control ability. The Dual Deer Brain was destined to have higher spiritual power than Faes of the same grade. The spiritual seal seemed to be an ability to cancel out the spiritual power. However, the spiritual power in the exquisite rhinoceros deer's mind could cancel out multiple Faes at the same time. It could complete a one versus many exchange. When the spiritual power was erased, the Fae would not be able to control its own body. Naturally, it would not be able to fight anymore. This kind of domineering control ability was relying on the fact that it had more spiritual power. There was no doubt that it was much stronger than the 2 Earth Witch Snake's charm and hypnotism ability. The platinum ability, Spirit Rain, was considered the exquisite rhinoceros deer's core ability. It established the exquisite rhinoceros deer's core ability. While building a spiritual force field, it could also increase the target's spiritual power. It could weaken the target's spiritual power. At the same time, the spiritual power released by the force field was still under the exquisite rhinoceros deer's control. It was equivalent to the exquisite rhinoceros deer using the surrounding environment as a container to help store its spiritual power. This allowed the exquisite rhinoceros deer to increase its spiritual power's upper limit with the Dual Deer Brain. The diamond ability, Soul Transformation Rhinoceros Horn, was a standard burst ability. It would soul transform the rhinoceros horn and use it as a carrier to condense the entire body's spiritual power to launch an attack on the enemy. The exquisite rhinoceros deer's diamond ability, Soul Transformation Rhinoceros Horn, was much stronger than the Earth Witch Snake's diamond ability, Snake Egg Metamorphosis. When the Soul Transformation Rhinoceros Horn was used, the exquisite rhinoceros deer would only exhaust its entire body. It would not be like the Earth Witch Snakes, which would decrease in grade and metamorphose into its egg form. Instant Update Subdued Beast Evolution Quotient. Please bookmark this site so that you can read it immediately when the next update is released. The mobile version was the fastest to update. Chapter 1537. However, on the Star Web, a wandering wizard snake indeed had the capital to thrive. No matter how he used the snake molt egg, he didn't suffer any damage. What he was most concerned about was the exquisite rhinoceros deer's first exclusive skill, Spirit Lotus Flower. The mental lotus flower had a strong effect on enhancing one's mental strength. If this exclusive skill was used on other Faes, it might be nothing. However, it was different on this exquisite rhinoceros deer and on Lu Shuang's team. Lu Shuang's 2 Earth Witch Snakes were like 2 pendants. During battle, the exquisite rhinoceros deer could use the snake molt egg skill to devote all of its spirit and life force to the exquisite rhinoceros deer. After being affected by the Spirit Lotus Flower, it was hard to imagine the exquisite rhinoceros deer accepting the walking witch snake's spiritual energy. How high would his spiritual power be? Under normal circumstances, it would be dangerous to increase a Fae's spiritual energy. A huge amount of mental power could very well destroy the brain. However, with the exquisite rhinoceros deer's dual deer brains, coupled with the spiritual rain's ability to expand one's capacity, there was no need to worry about this at all. Once the battle started, the spiritual energy of the soul rhinoceros deer would condense in the rhinoceros horn and attack. Even suzerain/myth breed phase might not be able to withstand it. The second exclusive skill, Essence Blood, was equivalent to giving the exquisite rhinoceros deer a kind of endurance. Through the massive amount of mental power, he healed his own injuries. The healed wounds also had an anti-armor effect. After being attacked, it would return shock, a type of mind control ability that could reduce one's fighting spirit. With this kind of strength, he still fooled around on the 100th step of the heaven stairway and did not enter the sanctuary level. This meant that Lu Shuang had no intention of advancing to the sanctuary division. For the Star Web officials to arrange such an opponent for him, they probably wanted to squeeze out his potential in exchange for the program's effects. However, the Star Web officials had obviously made the wrong decision. If a creation breed Fey attacked him, he wouldn't be able to do so. Lin Yuan might not be able to withstand it. However, a fantasy breed Fey's spiritual attack, even if it had reached the pinnacle of a fantasy breed Fey, would not be able to withstand it. Lin Yuan was still fearless. Of course, this was all thanks to his intelligence. Genius Silver ability, Spiritual Expansion, could use Genius Spiritual Energy as Lin Yuan's Spiritual Energy Reserve. Although he could not use the Mental Expansion Spiritual Reserve at will, when he suffered spiritual damage he could still use it. He could use the Mental Expansion Spiritual Reserve to resist. Genius was an Internet of All Things beast that had evolved from 100 Questions beast. It had the ability to use its mental strength to connect all things. He could grasp almost all the knowledge on the star web. The amount of spiritual power could only be described as the Spirit Sea. This amount of mental power was not the same as having an extra brain. Or perhaps using the surrounding environment to expand one's mental strength could be compared. Genius Elite Skill, Smart Cat Spirit, allowed Genius to use its mental strength. It would form a contract with other Smart Cat Fays. While controlling the Intelligent Cat Fay, it could also enjoy the contracted Intelligent Cat Fay's spiritual energy unilaterally. Now, the strength of the 100 Questions Beast Legion's 100 Questions Beast had been raised to Diamond X/Legend. Each Diamond X/Legend 100 Questions Beast had its own spiritual sea. Genius could use its mental power as it pleased in this spirit sea. Even if the exquisite rhinoceros deer shot out 10 soul-transformed rhinoceros horns, Genius could easily block them. At this moment, the atmosphere in the Starlight Arena was at its peak. The shouts from the audience drowned out the commentator's voice. Shuangzi, slow down. Use your earth-walking wizard snake to force Black to summon a few more Fays first. Boo-hoo, I spent 50 Radiance dollars to support my idol. I'm not here to watch my idol lose. The Star Web officials will compensate me. Black is too pretentious. Lu Shuang has already summoned her Fays. Why hasn't Black summoned them yet? Does he not intend to fight anymore? Or does he think Black will go easy on you? Why isn't Black reacting to Lu Shuang's summoned Fays? Could it be that Black is already prepared? Or does Black not treat Lu Shuang as an opponent? Why do I have a misconception that Black will win? Lu Shuang's body was slightly trembling when she felt the shouts from the surroundings. It wasn't that Lu Shuang had never seen such a grand scene before. On the contrary, Lu Shuang had just fought an open match at the Starlight Arena last month. However, that open match was just to coordinate with the Star Web's publicity, and it was a normal match. This match was a turning point for her, and it would determine her future development. By defeating the creator of history, one's name would also be recorded in history. In the future, as long as someone mentioned Black on the Celestial Stairway streak list, they would definitely mention her. She would be able to instantly defeat Black, a historical creation master, and defeat Black in an ordinary battle. It was obvious that the former would be a bigger topic. Therefore, Lu Shuang couldn't be bothered with the audience's cries for her to force Black to summon more Fays. However, Lu Shuang still had to say what needed to be said. Lu Shuang looked at the silver-masked youth and released that B-type source-type life form that would almost die in every battle. Lu Shuang said in a cold voice, "Summon all your Fays. I'm going to make my move." As a veteran Star Web host, Lu Shuang knew how terrifying the tempo on the Star Web was. She had said to let Black summon a Fey, even if she really made a move to instantly kill Black. Those people who wanted to see Black summon more Fays couldn't blame her. Upon hearing Lu Shuang's words, Lin Yuan replied, "Just attack. Don't worry about me." Hearing this, Lu Shuang ordered one of the ground witch snakes. Voodoo spirit fangs pierce this bee. The Diamond X/Fantasy 3 ground walking witch snake killed the acid corrosion queen bee in a single blow. Lin Yuan thought to himself as he looked at the motionless acid corrosion queen bee that had fallen on the duel arena. How many more times do you have to die before you can comprehend the willpower rune? After killing the acid corrosion queen bee, Lu Shuang yelled. Ground walking witch snake. Snake molting egg. Go all out to enhance the exquisite rhinoceros deer. Following Lu Shuang's command, the two ground walking witch snakes quickly shook the exploded snake scales on their bodies. Then the snake head opened its mouth to catch the snake tail, allowing the scales to pierce the snake head. The entire snake body coiled together and kept twisting. It formed a ball shape. Finally, the exploded scales closed and formed two oval snake eggs. A large amount of spiritual energy and vitality gushed out of the snake eggs and transferred to the exquisite rhinoceros deer. The exquisite rhinoceros deer was enhanced by the spiritual energy, and its spiritual energy field immediately spread out. Finally, it enveloped the entire duel arena. What happened next shocked Lu Shuang in her heart. It caused the audience to burst out with shocking cheers. The commentator didn't know how to continue for a moment. Chapter 1538. The force field formed by the exquisite rhinoceros deer's spiritual rain had a weakening effect. This effect might not be considered an attack, but under the spiritual force field, as a healing-type spirit chi professional, Black should be kneeling on the ground with dizziness. It had to endure the torture of extreme weakness and helplessness. However, the situation did not go according to Lu Shuang's plan. Black stood there as if nothing had happened. From the beginning to the end, it did not summon any new phase. Could it be that one of Black's phase had an ability or exclusive skill that could provide spiritual defense? Although Black did not summon any new phase, the anomaly in the arena had caused the audience to reach a new climax. My husband is so strong. Spiritual power attacks are just a piece of cake for my husband. I'm kneeling to Black. The last time Lu Shuang had a public duel, she used this move, leaving her opponent with no room to defend. Lu Shuang's opponent, Zhou Gang, has already advanced to the Sanctuary Division, so Black should have the ability to advance to the Sanctuary Division. Absolute Black. He just doesn't know how to summon a Fey. Shuangzi just blasts Black with a cannon. I hate it when people act pretentiously like this. Lu Shuang did not know what trump card Black had. However, Lu Shuang did not intend to continue entangling with Black. Instead, she intended to launch her strongest attack to end this duel. Exquisite rhinoceros deer, use your deer neck cry and soul rhinoceros horn to give the opponent the final blow. Upon hearing Lu Shuang's command, the exquisite rhinoceros deer let out a long cry. The spiritual energy in the field turned into a downpour in an instant. The raindrops fell on the ground and formed a rapid drumbeat. The exquisite rhinoceros deer's dark silver body emitted a bright silver glow. Giant trees formed by spiritual power grew around the exquisite rhinoceros deer. The exquisite rhinoceros deer had obviously mobilized all the spiritual power it could mobilize. It also expanded the spiritual power that its body could not store into the environment. At that moment, Lu Shuang realized that Black was looking at her as though nothing had happened. Apart from not being as excited as the audience, it was no different from the audience. This made Lu Shuang's heart uncontrollably burn with anger. She felt that she was being ignored. Lu Shuang yelled angrily. Black, take my attack. As soon as Lu Shuang's voice fell, a huge suction force came from the exquisite rhinoceros deer's horn. The surrounding trees formed from mental energy and the raindrops in the field were all absorbed into the rhinoceros horn. At this moment, the situation gradually calmed down. As the rhinoceros horn absorbed more spiritual power, the range of the field became smaller and smaller. When the stance disappeared, the exhausted rhinoceros deer fell to the ground weakly. An antler that looked like a giant sword condensed on top of the exquisite rhinoceros deer's head. The exquisite rhinoceros deer let out a neigh. The rhinoceros horn formed by the spiritual power soul crashed straight at Lin Yuan. Upon seeing that Lu Shuang had finally executed this attack, Lin Yuan simply waved his hand. The source sand, which had been creating a large amount of sand, turned into amber buttons and stuck to Lin Yuan's cufflinks. The wind pressure brought by his spiritual power made his clothes flutter. Lin Yuan just stood there without putting up any defenses. He faced Lu Shuang's strongest attack head-on. Star Web had put in a lot of effort for this public duel with Black participating. Even the 2 gold medal commentators of the game were sent over. Now, these two gold medal commentators had shut themselves up. They were just short of throwing their microphones to the ground and running away from the commentator seats. Fuck, this Black is simply crazy. Not to mention that he is a troublemaker. Even the battle is so difficult to commentate. How should I commentate now? I can't just say that Black feels that he has no chance to defeat Lu Shuang. Since the start of the match, he has been playing passively without doing anything? He doesn't even bother to resist. If he said that, would the audience who had bought tickets buy it? Brother Black. Please, I beg you, please do something. It's too difficult for us to commentate. No matter how popular you are next time, I won't be your commentator anymore. The audience also had a belly full of questions. When Black usually fought, he did not talk much. However, he had never been passive in the match. In the early stages of the tower climbing duel, he had encountered several opponents on the 90th floor, and he had won with difficulty. In Millstone Town, he had used his own strength to protect Millstone Town without fear of life and death. How did he become like this now? For a moment, the shouts from the audience weakened a little. The moment the rhinoceros horn, which was like a giant sword in the clear sky, hit Black, the audience saw the silver mask that Black was wearing suddenly lit up with a silver light that was brighter than the soul-transformed rhinoceros horn. Then, a giant phantom of a civet appeared behind Black. 8 long tails were like silk, intertwining and winding behind Black. The huge spirit cat phantom was like a pool of water, and the towering rhinoceros horn was like a sword. This sword was thrown into the pool, splashing water. Soon it calmed down in the pool. This scene left the entire Starlight Arena speechless for 3 seconds. Everyone was dumbfounded as they looked at Black, who was being hugged by the spirit cat's 8 giant tails. Just as the spirit cat phantom behind Black was about to dissipate, a silver light shot out from Black's silver mask, directly blasting Lu Shuang and the exquisite rhinoceros deer into pieces. The host was the first to react. The host rushed into the arena and shouted, "Congratulations to Black for defeating Lu Shuang as a god. He's the winner of this fight. At the same time, let us all cheer. Congratulations to Black for reaching the Hall Division at the 80th step of the Celestial Stairway. Everyone, are you looking forward to it? Let's see what kind of surprise Black will bring us when he enters the Hall Division." As a host specially arranged by the Star Web officials, his reaction ability was extremely strong. He immediately pushed out a new topic to help the two commentators ease the awkwardness. When the audience heard the host's words, they were startled and then reacted. Haha. Previously, so many people were guessing Black's age. Now that he has entered the Hall Division, he will go to the Hall Division's list and find out his age. Fuck. Why didn't I think of this? Previously there were people guessing Black's age. Since he can participate in the Radiance 100 sequence, it means that he is not over 30 years old. I reckon that he is at least 27 or 28 years old. Otherwise, how can he be so strong? Impossible. My husband is forever 18 years old. Wang Zhong had never expected that Black could defeat Lu Shuang. What Wang Zhong wanted was the excitement of the duel. Black didn't cooperate throughout and didn't even summon a new Fei. However, the final reversal was simply too exciting. It simply exceeded Wang Zhong's expectations. Wang Zhong also wanted to see Black's age. At that moment, the Celestial Stairways Hall Division's list of persons was officially refreshed. Chapter 1539. All the spectators in the Starlight Arena were staring at the Celestial Stairway Hall of Fame ranking. They were watching the match live, but no one was paying attention to the match. He defeated Lu Shuang at the 80th star of the Celestial Stairway and advanced to the Sanctuary Division. He had once again created Star Web history and broken the Star Web record. Black's seemingly passive attitude towards the competition had caused many fans to spend $50 Radiance to buy tickets through channels. He felt that the ticket money was wasted. But in the end, Black used a way that no one could understand. She actually defeated Lu Shuang under the shadow of the 8-tailed civet. The tickets for the Starlight Arena were divided into seated tickets and standing tickets. The standing ticket was also an off-site ticket. Those audience members had spent $50 Radiance to grab tickets to the arena. There is no limit to the number of spectators with off-site tickets. When he had watched the duel between White Demon Daisy and Anna unmolested, what he bought was an off-site ticket. The spectators in the Starlight Arena who had purchased tickets outside the arena were unable to experience the excitement of the duel up close. However, this did not prevent the spectators from feeling the atmosphere in the stadium. The spectators outside the arena were also staring at the Celestial Stairway Hall of Fame list. He was prepared to see how old this youth, who had broken the Radiance era's history twice in a row, was. Being able to enter the Heaven Stairway Sanctuary ranking was already the best proof of one's strength. The mutual restraint between phase and the checks and balances between different spirit chi professionals. It was very difficult to determine who was stronger and who was weaker based on the outcome of a battle. Therefore, the Heaven Stairway Sanctum ranking of persons adopted the fairest method. That was, under the same level, the younger the person. The higher the ranking on the Heaven Stairway Sanctum ranking, the higher the ranking. The Heaven Stairway Sanctuary ranking was updated in real time. The majority of the Heaven Stairway Celebrity Leaderboard were sanctuary-level powerhouses that were below the royal level. It was too troublesome to make people climb up bit by bit. Black was able to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection and had received a qualification check from the Radiance Sacred Hall. It was confirmed that Black was qualified to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection. This meant that no matter how old Black was, he would not be older than 30 years old. Therefore, the spectators who wanted to witness history were going to scroll to the Celestial Stairway Celebrity Leaderboard and below the age of 30. In the end, everyone suddenly realized that there were only 5 people in this section. Moreover, 4 of these 5 people did not publicly reveal their identities. It was the same as Black's situation. In order to enter the Heaven Stairway Sanctuary ranking, one's strength must be at the peak of the king level. Therefore, the younger generation of the Radiance 100 sequence members were not included in the Celestial Stairway Sanctuary class list of persons. The Heaven Stairway Sanctuary ranking list was too long. The ones in front were all powerful Emperor Realm experts. Almost everyone who was watching the list was attracted by the Emperor stage powerhouse at the head of the list. It was hard to notice the people in the middle of the list. Before those people entered the Hall of Fame rankings, as he didn't break the history of the star web, he didn't attract much attention. On top of that, he was secretly fighting in a low-key manner. Before this, the deeds of these people were only spread among the internal members of the ranking list who often paid attention to it. Everyone's hearts were as clear as a mirror. These people possessed such strength at such a young age. All of them were around 23 or 24 years old. These people were obviously the legendary disciples of His Holiness. They were all powerful people who would compete for the Radiance Envoy position in the future. But now these people's rankings had all been moved down a rank. A name with 18 years behind it was written on top of these people's names. The number 18 made the hearts of everyone who was paying attention to the list tremble. Black was actually only 18 years old. 18 years old. He had just reached adulthood, but he had such a heavenly talent. Think about what I was doing when I was 18 years old. This youth called Black had already entered the Celestial Stairway Sanctuary class list of persons at the age of 18. He had broken the Radiance Envoy's record twice. He had even broken the Celestial Stairway's winning streak record set by the current Radiance Envoy. Before this, because he wasn't sure of Black's age, he could only praise Black's talent. However, Black's talent couldn't be compared with the current Radiance Envoys. But now Black's age was even younger than the Radiance Envoy. Fuck Lin Yuan. Fuck Chu Xiat. How could the talents of these two be compared with Black? Black was fully deserving of being the number 1 genius of the younger generation. Because Black had been brought to the forefront of the struggle. In addition, people had been comparing Black with Lin Yuan. Especially after Black broke the Celestial Stairway's winning streak record. Only those who had participated in the Nyx assembly and understood Lin Yuan's true identity and strength were the younger generation of the veteran factions and the top factions who had spoken up for him. Even now, these people still didn't think that Black could defeat Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan had said that he was 19 years old, which was 1 year older than Black. However, Lin Yuan had defeated Zhong Zhe at the age of 19. He had relied on shocking combat methods and the mysterious sacred source life form to clinch first place in the civil and martial duels. In the civil and martial challenges, he completed the test in less than 20 minutes. How big of a difference could there be in the age of 1 year? Moreover, Lin Yuan had the ability of a Class 4 creation master. Did Black have the ability? However, these words were stuck in the hearts of the younger generation disciples of the veteran factions and the top factions. They couldn't say it out loud. This was because all information that involved His Majesty's disciple was classified. Everyone had to keep their mouths shut. The Starlight Arena's audience, who had witnessed history and been shocked by it, couldn't help but shout loudly. Black is actually only 18 years old. He shocked my mother for an entire year. How can Black be so young? I always thought that Black was an uncle with a youthful aura. I didn't expect him to be a young man. Black Bull coins. I will be Black's diehard fan from now on. Radiance's number 1 genius. This sentence was shouted out. The entire Starlight Arenas and outside the arena's cheers were unified. Black Radiance's #1 genius voice echoed throughout the arena. Black Radiance's #1 genius voice echoed throughout the arena. In the center of the arena, Lin Yuan let out a soft sigh when he heard people talking about his age. I'm actually already 19 years old. However, Star Web calculated one's age as 1 year old. His birthday was young, so he would only be considered 19 years old in August this year. Therefore, on Star Web, Lin Yuan's age was 1 year younger than his actual age. This public duel was over, and the fans who deserved to be spoiled had already been spoiled. He had finally given an explanation to those who had been waiting for his return. When he saw that the host was in front of him and wanted to interview him, Lin Yuan immediately replied without hesitation. My stomach hurts. I'm going to the toilet. After speaking, he immediately logged out of Star Web. Chapter 1540. Black's behavior stunned the host at the scene. The spectators outside and inside the Star Web arena were also stunned. Everyone at the scene stared at each other blankly for a full 3 minutes. Go to the toilet. Stomach ache. Do you think you can scour the Star Web and have diarrhea? Why didn't you say that you went to the toilet when you were fighting with Lu Shuang? How much time can you waste by accepting an interview? Moreover, you just broke the Radiance's history twice and are now accepting an interview. The interview and the previous duel were stored in the Celestial Stairways video library for everyone to watch. This interview was a good opportunity for anyone to become famous in the Radiance. You actually said that you don't want it. You even found such a strange reason to run away. Black, you're really worthy of your name. When Black turned the tables and won, the host saw the two commentators' mouths open awkwardly and did not know what to say. Thus, he saved the situation at the last minute and diverted the audience's attention. Afterward, Black's age was exposed on the Celestial Stairways list of celebrities. Everyone was shocked by Black's age. After everyone recovered from the shock, their attention returned to the duel between Black and Lu Shuang. Questions filled the Starlight Arena one after another. That's not right. What in the world was that giant civet with 8 tails that appeared behind Black? Is it a Fae? Why is Black's Fae equipment so strange when compared to other Spirit Chi professionals? Black is a healing-type Spirit Chi professional. Why doesn't he use his healing ability? Those who say that Black doesn't use his healing ability, are they stupid? Didn't Black use his healing ability to heal Faes when he climbed the tower? Black is now killing his opponents in a single blow. Why would he use his healing ability? I just saw Black's silver mask glowing. This silver mask is definitely not an ordinary accessory. The surprised voices in the Starlight Arena caused the host and the two commentators to fall into an awkward situation again. Black, you're really something. We can't get off work after you leave. But speaking of which, the host and the two commentators really did not know what was going on with the huge phantom spirit cat. There were many possibilities for such a situation. That spirit cat could be a Fae, a source-type life form. It might even be a sacred source life form. Now that they were facing the entire Star Web audience, the host and the two commentators did not dare to make wild guesses or express their opinions. Otherwise, he might make a fool of himself and affect his career. As for Black Silver Mask, the host and the two commentators thought that it was just an ordinary accessory. But from the looks of it now, that wasn't the case. Star Web duels didn't allow the use of weapons as it was the best way for Spirit Chi professionals to fight. It was to control Faes in battle, instead of wielding a long saber and personally fighting in melee combat. However, a suitable treasure was allowed to be brought onto the Star Web. It could be used in the Celestial Stairway duels. However, artifacts were created by a Class 5 creation master from the body of a dead sacred source life form. Such a precious item had never appeared in the Star Web Celestial Stairway duels. Thus, it was unknown whether Blackface was carrying a precious artifact or some kind of spirit artifact. That was up for debate. The audience in the stadium began to discuss fiercely. He did not leave the Starlight Arena immediately after the battle ended. The two Star Web's gold medal commentator and ace host could only accompany them awkwardly. They had worked overtime for nearly an hour. In the face of the intense and curious atmosphere, there was no way for them to display their control ability. At the same time, Black and Lu Shuang's duel was synchronized. It was synchronized to the Celestial Stairway video library. The entire duel took less than 3 minutes from the moment Black entered to the moment he left. Thus, the Star Web netizens who didn't buy tickets and didn't go outside to watch quickly finished watching the duel. For a moment, The atmosphere in the Starlight Arena spread to the entire Star Web. Black's fans were stunned once again. Many of the Star Web netizens who had criticized Black on the Star Web went to Black's official forum to apologize. Black's official Tieba forum had not only returned to its former glory. A large number of Star Web netizens gathered in Black's official forum to discuss the duel between Black and Lu Shuang. It made Black's official forum even more popular than before. Lu Shuang originally wanted to defeat Black and use the popularity of Black's history to soar to the sky. She didn't expect that her plan would fail. The disparity broke Lu Shuang's defenses. The huge disparity caused Lu Shuang to be in a daze for a long time. But after learning that Black had won, he didn't accept any interviews and didn't give any response. Lu Shuang immediately perked up. She immediately opened her live streaming room and started live streaming. She might be the loser, but the winner had left. As a loser, she could always use the winner's glory to gain some popularity. While the entire Star Web was in a frenzy, any residual wave of popularity could make Lu Shuang full. The number of fans in Lu Shuang's live streaming room doubled. She became the most popular dual streamer below the Emperor class. The live streaming room's popularity was even vaguely comparable to the sparrow voice lowly goddess in the attractive section. The live streaming room's comments were all related to Black. Lu Shuang, who had experienced the benefits of popularity, didn't care about it. But facing the audience's questions, even Lu Shuang, who had fought with Black, didn't know how to answer. However, not answering anything was equivalent to pushing away the audience in the livestream. Therefore Lu Shuang spoke ambiguously. Facing the audience's questions. Lu Shuang, do you think Black's eight-tailed spirit cat phantom is a sacred source life form? Lu Shuang replied. If Black's spirit cat phantom shrank to the size of a house cat, it should be a very cute pet. Facing the audience's questions. Lu Shuang, the next time you fight with Black, are you confident you can defend against Black's attacks? Lu Shuang replied. Black doesn't have any martial ethics. He sneaked up on an old comrade like me. He didn't even say anything before he counterattacked. I shouted before I attacked. Facing the audience's questions. Host, are you stupid? What did we ask? What did you reply? Lu Shuang replied. I'm hungry. I want to eat a plate of meat, egg and onion chicken. In this popular event, Lu Shuang was called Riddler by the audience in the live streaming room. In the future, this nickname would only become more and more popular. Master Duan Li, who was observing all this, felt that it was time for her to make a move. Master Duan Li made a post on Black's official forum. The post was titled Class 4 Creation Master's Conjecture on Black's Spirit Cat Phantom and Mask. Chapter 1541. In the post, Master Duan Li pointed out with certainty. Black could not be an A-rank spirit chi professional, so the spirit cat's strength could not reach emperor rank. Moreover, when the spirit cat's shadow counterattacked, there was no spiritual power fluctuation. This situation was similar to a passive skill that would automatically counterattack when it received passive damage. According to the strength of the counterattack, the spiritual power of the counterattack was almost the same as the exquisite rhinoceros deer's strongest attack. Master Duan Li made a bold guess. Black's mask should be a cat species fey with 8 tails and a tool transformation item. Of course, Master Duan Li also pointed out that this was only her guess. She could not rule out other possibilities. Master Duan Li's post quickly attracted the attention of many Star Web netizens. A Class 4 Creation Master's analysis was always closer to the truth than a random guess. It was precisely because Master Duan Li, a Class 4 Creation Master, made such an uncertain statement that the academic world was in an uproar. Many Class 4 and Class 5 scholars, Fey observers and Fey analysts entered the field. They were analyzing Black's Fey. On one hand, it was to prove Master Duan Li's statement. On the other hand, it was to find evidence to refute Master Duan Li's statement. If he could really refute a Class 4 Creation Master's statement, wouldn't he be able to prove it? His knowledge was even more profound than a Class 4 Creation Master's. Wang Zhong stared blankly at the Celestial Stairway Sanctum ranking. When he saw Black's age, he was speechless for a long time. When he saw the age of 18, Wang Zhong finally understood everything that he did not understand before. He understood why Lin Yuan's Star Web access was so high. Even he, the Star Web manager, could not investigate it. He also understood Lin Yuan's possible identity. At this age, with this level of access, he was definitely the disciple of one of the Majesties. Moreover, this Majesty's disciple was even more talented than the other disciples of the Majesties. Black was very likely to be the new leader of the Radiance faction in the future. Such a person was already lying in wait. The public duel that he had arranged at the Starlight Gladiator Arena was the same as exposing Black's identity. It made Black the center of attention on the Star Web. Fortunately, Lu Shuang, whom he had arranged, had never fought Black before. If Lu Shuang's actions caused Black to be defeated in front of the entire Star Web audience, in that case he might even be blacklisted by the Lord who set up the authority to settle the score. Lin Yuan, who was in the Spirit Lock spatial zone checking on Genius's situation, was completely unaware of the commotion on Star Web. Meow. Lin Yuan, smart, it's fine. You don't have to worry about being clever. After Lin Yuan checked on Genius and confirmed that there was nothing wrong with it, he spoke. Smart. Under normal circumstances, your skill, mental expansion, will not materialize the phantom of a spirit cat. Why did you summon the phantom of the spirit cat during this attack? When Genius heard this, it explained in a childish voice. Genius was too nervous. Genius was afraid that the attack would injure you. So, Genius mobilized the mental energy of the other 100 Questions beasts and turned their mental energy into spirits to protect you. This is the first time Genius has used this ability. Genius didn't know that such a big scene would appear after using this method. It seems that Genius has caused trouble for Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan reached out and scratched Genius' chin. Smart, with your current spiritual energy, you should be able to resist a creation breed spiritual type Fey, right? When Genius heard this, it replied softly. Genius is confident in blocking the attacks of a spiritual type myth breed Fey. But when facing some special spiritual type Feys that release spiritual toxins, Genius's spiritual defense will be greatly weakened. But Lin Yuan, don't worry. Genius is about to reach Fantasy V. After reaching Fantasy V, Genius is confident in resisting the spiritual toxins released by a Myth 3 Fey. At this point, Genius paused for a moment before continuing. Lin Yuan, find a few more 100 Questions beasts for Genius. Genius should be able to contract another 100 Questions beasts with its Smart Cat Spirit ability. After hearing Genius' words, Lin Yuan's heart was filled with joy. He didn't expect that the increase in quality would actually increase Genius's soul power so much. Genius could use Smart Cat Spirit to form a contract with another 100 Questions beasts. Right now, the number of 100 Questions beasts had doubled. It meant that Lin Yuan was about to possess 200 Pinnacle Class 4 Creation Masters. Such a production capacity was already comparable to the Federation's Pinnacle Creation Masters. Apart from the 100 Questions Beast Legion, Lin Yuan also had a Class 5 Creation Master under him. The Class 5 Creation Master was none other than Di Wanmi, who was being controlled by Red Thorn's Tongue of Relinquish. Lin Yuan waved his hand and released Di Wanmi. Under Red Thorn's control, Di Wanmi, who was standing in front of Lin Yuan, was no longer as arrogant and evil as before. However, Di Wanmi's eyes were still filled with disregard for life. However, Di Wanmi had previously ignored the lives of human creation masters. Under Red Thorn's control, Di Wanmi was indifferent to all living beings. Lin Yuan could understand this. In the dazzling red eyes, the flesh and blood of all living creatures were just bait for him to increase his strength. Ever since Lin Yuan had started nurturing Red Thorn, it had been devouring dimensional lifeforms' flesh in large quantities. Fortunately, his existence could control Red Thorn, so that Red Thorn wouldn't become very dangerous. If he didn't restrict Red Thorn, it would be completely up to Red Thorn's whims if he left it in the wild. He was certain that the natural disaster caused by the rampaging Red Thorn was a natural disaster. It was definitely not inferior to those carcinoma Feys that were known as the Fifth Calamity. After pondering for a moment, Lin Yuan took out the sacred source life form, Scarlet Tentacle Algae, that he had obtained from killing the shark Mang. He passed it to Di Wanmi. Turn the sacred source life form, Scarlet Tentacle Algae's body into a treasure. Upon hearing that, Di Wanmi took the Scarlet Tentacle Algae corpse that Lin Yuan handed over and said, "That's right. If I want to forge it into a prized artifact, I will need around 2 weeks. The Scarlet Tentacle Algae has the ability to shield, restrain and absorb energy. Its shape is suitable to be made into a whip-like prized artifact. It's just that the 6-star Sacred Source Lifeform's body is too heavily damaged. The quality of the refined treasures can only be between low-grade and mid-grade. If you're unlucky, you'll only be able to obtain a low-grade treasure. If I'm lucky, the prized artifact's quality can reach mid-grade. It's just that the possibility is very small." Di Wanmi had only used a few sentences to show Lin Yuan the standard of a Class 5 Creation Master. Chapter 1542. When the Mother of Bloodbath had awakened its favored spirit bloodline. Most of the scarlet tentacle algae's bodies had been used by the Mother of Bloodbath as consumables to replenish its depleted blood energy. As long as the remaining scarlet tentacle algae's bodies could be made into treasured artifacts. Who cared if they were inferior grade or middle grade? The greeting gift that Chef Supreme had given him in the Radiant Moon Palace. The treasured artifact made of the treasure cave golden toad's skin and stomach pouch was an inferior grade treasure. However, after using it for so long, the more Lin Yuan used it, the more fragrant it was. It had helped him solve many problems. The treasured artifact made of the treasure cave golden toad's skin and stomach pouch had traveled back and forth between the Radiance Federation and the Divine Wood Federation. Only God knew how many spatial spiritual materials Lin Yuan had saved. Next, Lin Yuan needed to consider how to settle down Di Wanmi. He now had 3 choices. The first choice was to send Di Wanmi to the Swamp World's breeding room. He would provide resources for Di Wanmi and let him concoct a large number of Class 5 spirit liquids. He would be a tool that only knew how to concoct spirit liquids. The second choice was to let Di Wanmi appear in the Radiance Federation openly. He would let when you put a layer of faceless paper on Di Wanmi's face, which was now full of nail scars. Then he would let Di Wanmi, who had changed his appearance, preside over Sky City. He would pull Sky City's status to the same level as the Radiant Moon Palace, the Kitchen Fragrance Palace, and the Purple Bamboo Garden. The third choice was to bring Di Wanmi to the Divine Wood Federation. Then he would speed up the development of the Shockwave Continent. With Di Wanmi's momentum as a Class 5 creation master, he could even let the Divine Wood Federation, Iron Hammer Federation, and Deep Brahmin Federation on the Shockwave Continent fuse into a new federation. A federation with a Class 5 creation master presiding over it. At that time, the entire Shockwave Continent's faction structure would be centered around Di Wanmi. In other words, through Di Wanmi, Lin Yuan could control the entire Shockwave Continent in his hands. After thinking about it, Lin Yuan gave up on the first choice. Even if Di Wanmi went to the Shockwave Continent or preside over Sky City and revealed his identity, it would not stop Di Wanmi from hoarding Class 5 spirit liquids like a tool. If Di Wanmi was a living Class 5 creation master, Di Wanmi would have to work. Lin Yuan might need to consider Di Wanmi's feelings. However, the current Di Wanmi was just a tool controlled by Red Thorn. Even if Di Wanmi had to work 24 hours a day, Lin Yuan would not need to have any psychological burden. He weighed the options between the second and third option. He decisively gave up on the second point. The Radiant Moon Palace was a faction established by his master, the Moon Empress, and Lin Yuan was the young lord of the Radiant Moon Palace. Di Wanmi presided over Sky City and displayed his strength as a creation master. While Sky City was elevated to the same level as the Radiant Moon Palace, it wasn't Sky City that was truly revered. It was Di Wanmi, the Class 5 creation master. Di Wanmi was Hui Yao's sinner. Even after death, he did not have the right to be revered by others. He was even more unworthy to be on the same level as his master, the Moon Empress. This was the same as insulting his master, the Moon Empress, Chef Supreme, and Bamboo Monarch. Moreover, Lin Yuan's ambition in building a Sky City was not in the Radiance sect. Sky City now possessed the might of a top-tier force. It also displayed a massive amount of creation master resources. Just the Golden Lotus brocade was enough for Lin Yuan to develop in the Radiance sect for a long time. Therefore, the Agon continent was the most suitable for Di Wanmi. It was impossible for him to preside over the Divine Wood Federation's underground palace for a long time. The Divine Wood Federation was not without experts. Apart from being a Class 5 creation master, Di Wanmi was also a peak Immortal Realm expert. Di Wanmi still had the ability of a creation master after death. However, Di Wanmi's phase had been killed and were the same as Di Wanmi. They were both controlled by the tongue of relinquish and could exist in another way. Therefore, Di Wanmi's strength as a spirit chi professional was the same as a creation master's ability. Without the chance to improve again, he could only be stuck at the peak of Immortal Realm for the rest of his life. Such strength might not be enough to face the Mother Goddess Federation, which had a fresh Class 5 creation master presiding over it. However, the Agon continent did not even have a Class 5 creation master. Such strength was already considered the ceiling of the Agon continent. Lin Yuan had a dispute with the Deep Lush Federation's reclusive Lu family in Oak City. He had killed the Lu family's people and burned their tree castle. The Lu family would definitely react to this matter. With Di Wanmi presiding over the underground palace and sending out his phase, it was the most effective way to ensure the safety of the land that Lin Yuan currently controlled. It was the most effective guarantee for the safety of the land that Lin Yuan was currently in control of. It allowed Lin Yuan to understand the situation of the Agon continent in the first place. Through communicating with Red Thorn, Di Wanmi was like a clone. Time passed day by day. The Celestial Body Council convened 2 more times. Lin Yuan, who had been observing Genius and Chimy's situation, realized that Genius had been stuck in its quality. It was preparing to transform into Fantasy V with Chimy just like the previous time when it evolved into a fantasy breed. They would welcome a new bloodline transformation together. At that moment, Chimy's feathers were emitting a faint glazed luster. When it flapped its wings, there would be an immortal sound. It was obvious that Chimy would be able to evolve from Fantasy 4 to Fantasy V within these 2 days. Its quality might evolve from Fantasy 4 to Fantasy V at any time. It would complete a new round of breakthrough. Just as Lin Yuan was looking forward to Chimy's bloodline breakthrough, the Mother of Bloodbath found him. Lin Yuan could feel the ups and downs of the Mother of Bloodbath's emotions from its eyes. Just as Lin Yuan was about to ask the Mother of Bloodbath what had happened, the Mother of Bloodbath spoke softly with a trembling voice. Lin Yuan, he's here. Through my connection with the Sun Chain, I can sense that he will arrive at the Radiance Royal Capital within today. Lin Yuan immediately knew who the Mother of Bloodbath was referring to. When the Mother of Bloodbath had transformed into a favored spirit, there had been a sun chain echoing in the sky with the Mother of Bloodbath. This meant that the Mother of Bloodbath definitely had a blood relative. Lin Yuan felt that the Mother of Bloodbath's blood relative was likely to be a female fae. Otherwise, it would not be possible to share the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline with the Mother of Bloodbath. However, Lin Yuan could not figure it out. As a favored spirit that belonged to the sun, why could the Mother of Bloodbath inherit the favored spirit's bloodline when she gave birth to the Mother of Bloodbath? According to the records, the favored spirit's bloodline had always been maintained alone. Even if some heavenly chosen spirits gave birth to children, the children shouldn't be heavenly chosen spirits. The Mother of Bloodbath had never been a person who liked to express its emotions. Lin Yuan could clearly feel the Mother of Bloodbath's nervousness, panic and anticipation on its face. There was also a hint of complaint. Chapter 1543. Through the Mother of Bloodbath's emotions, Lin Yuan knew that it had been looking forward to this meeting for a long time. Just as Lin Yuan stood up from the water rhinoceros leather sofa and was about to comfort the Mother of Bloodbath, suddenly the sun in the sky suddenly brightened and emitted countless rays of light. These rays of light seemed to cover the sun with a layer of gauze. A chain that looked like an angry dragon suddenly fell from the sun. At that moment, the royal capital's residents could not help but raise their heads and look at the sky in horror. They did not understand what was happening. At that moment, an old man with white hair and beard but a baby face appeared out of thin air. He appeared in front of the sun chain out of thin air. He looked at the blue-haired woman in front of him, the black-clothed man in a fishing net suit, and the red-clothed youth with a pair of strange eyes. The old man spoke faintly. The 3 hall masters of the heaven-blessed mansion, why don't you stay in the heaven-blessed mansion? Why have you come to my radiance? As he spoke, the old man's aura suddenly emitted. Immediately after, a shell shadow appeared behind the old man. The shell was silver in color and had all kinds of magnificent runes jumping on it. When the 2 runes on the shell collided, they would produce strange spatial ripples. Suddenly the huge silver shell opened. The entire sky was dyed bright silver by this huge silver shell. It was as if the sky above the royal capital was split into 2 worlds. The flesh in the silver shell stretched out and spat out a silver pearl. The flesh inside the silver shell stretched out and then spat out a silver pearl. Although it did not cut the sun chain, the silver light covered the entire Radiance Royal Capital. Immediately after, the old man raised his hand and pointed at the sky. Immediately after, the old man raised his hand and pointed at the sky. An even more terrifying spatial fluctuation was mobilized by the old man. It was as if some powerful creature was going to drill out of the old man's body. At that moment, the blue-haired woman opposite the old man hurriedly stepped forward and said, "Spacetime Elder, long time no see. I didn't expect your hollow crystal mother shellfish to be able to create dimensional spaces at will. The 3 of us are here to visit Radiance. We mean no harm. The heaven-blessed mansion has never thought of becoming enemies with Radiance. Put away your stance." The old man snorted when he heard that. Not only did his aura not restrain at all, it even grew stronger and stronger. Making such a big commotion in the sky above our Radiance sect doesn't seem like the etiquette of a visit. If you want to pay a special visit, Your heaven's blessed dojo should first send an invitation to the imperial court. Then I'll wait in Ascending Dragon City, waiting for the special envoy to bring me into the capital. This is the proper etiquette for coming to my Hui Yao. The old man's words made the blue-haired woman look a little embarrassed. The blue-haired woman pondered for a moment before saying, "We were rude." After saying that, the blue-haired woman transformed. It turned into a beautiful orchid that bloomed in the sky. The orchid spat out dew, and a fine rain poured down from the sky. It sprinkled onto the land within the boundaries of the royal capital. This drizzle lasted for a full 5 minutes before the blue-haired woman returned to human form. This nourishing rain, just treated as heaven's blessed dojo's gift to Hui Yao. As she spoke, the blue-haired woman's face revealed a pained expression. The baby-faced old man with white hair and beard saw the blue-haired woman. To think that he had directly given such a great opportunity to the capital city. He couldn't help but reveal a surprised expression. Then the old man's expression returned to normal. He said, "Then I'll thank heaven's blessed dojo on behalf of the phase that received nourishment on the royal capital's soil." Although the old man said that, he didn't restrain his aura at all. He also didn't intend to retract the mother crystal ability. When the man in the fishing net clothes saw this, he immediately revealed a displeased expression. Elder time. Blue Lotus has been brewing this nourishing rain for at least 50 years. This nourishing rain that gathered the essence of the 4 seas for 50 years can allow the land around your royal capital to have a bountiful harvest for 30 years. This great gift is enough to express our heaven's blessed dojo's sincerity. When Blue Lotus heard Bai Feng's words, she hurriedly glared at her. Then she smiled apologetically at Elder Time and said, "I came to Hui Yao this time. Firstly, Brother Blood wants to thank the Moon Empress and Night Empress for their help to Heaven's blessed dojo. Secondly, Brother Blood's daughter is in Heaven's blessed dojo. It's unavoidable that we're in a rush to recognize each other in person." Blue Lotus knew what kind of person the old man in front of her was. Father Time always had such a smile on his face, but he always did things by the book. If she didn't express her intentions immediately, if that happened, Father Time would immediately summon something terrifying to deal with them. If it was just Elder Space alone, Blue Lotus wouldn't be afraid. If she, Shueshua, and Bai Feng joined forces, they might be able to fight Elder Time head-on. But this was Heaven's blessed dojo. Elder Time would appear on one hand because he was good at large-scale defense. On the other hand, Heaven's blessed dojo also wanted to find out their purpose and intentions. Once they made a move, the other holiness paying attention to the movements in the sky would definitely attack instantly. No matter how conceited Blue Lotus was about her strength, she didn't dare to face the attacks of so many holiness at the same time. Moreover, Heaven's blessed dojo and Heaven's blessed dojo had no enmity. In the matter of Sister Jade Gui and Shueshua, Heaven's blessed dojo owed Heaven's blessed dojo a favor. That was why Blue Lotus was willing to release the moist rain that she had refined for 50 years. Father Time frowned upon hearing Lan Lian's words. Father Time knew that there was a heavenly spirit that belonged to the sun some time ago. On the island outside Stormy Wave City, the sun was triggered and a strange phenomenon occurred. Back then, the Moon Empress had even helped the favored spirit. Later, after asking around, Father Time learned that this spirit of heavenly favor was related to the Moon Empress disciple. Not long ago during the court meeting, the Moon Empress disciple Lin Yuan had saved tens of thousands of creation masters in the Whale Ocean Trade City's underground palace. Night Leaning Moon explained everything to him. If the Moon Empress came out of seclusion, this matter could be handed over to her to make the decision. However, the Moon Empress had yet to come out of seclusion, and Elder Time could not let the 3 favored spirits in front of him go and find Lin Yuan. If anything were to happen, the Moon Empress would definitely look for him to settle the score. He might even tear apart his old bones. In the future, his granddaughter would also be sad because of her employer's death. You guys came at the wrong time. The Moon Empress is in seclusion. Retreat to Ascending Dragon City first. When the Moon Empress comes out of seclusion, someone will come to Ascending Dragon City to bring you to the royal capital for a visit. Lan Lian had said so much just now. However, Old Man Time's words came back to him. This made Lan Lian feel a little annoyed. It was a very simple matter. She just needed to let Shueshua see her child. Lan Lian really didn't understand why Elder Time and Space was so evasive. Chapter 1544. At this moment, Shueshua had already placed his hand on the sun chain. At such a close distance, the sun stripe had sent a message through the sun chain. Shueshua could already vaguely sense the mother of bloodbath's location. Shueshua's face was filled with apprehension, anticipation, and guilt. Then Shueshua turned to look at Father Time. I need to see my child today, I swear by the sun. I don't do anything but see my children. As Shueshua spoke, his body was bathed in a layer of sunlight. This layer of sunlight took away a portion of Shueshua's energy and shot it into the sun. The heavenly chosen spirit could swear upon the celestial phenomenon that it belonged to. This was an ability unique to the chosen spirits. If the oath was broken, the heavenly protector's spirit would be rejected by the celestial phenomenon. It could be said that Shueshua had shown all his sincerity. To be able to become the hall master of the heaven-blessed mansion, one's strength had at least reached the eternal realm. Making a powerhouse who had a glimpse of eternity swear an oath in public was a very humiliating thing to do. However, Shueshua did it without even thinking about it. It was evident how much Shueshua was looking forward to seeing his child. Shueshua's sincerity made things difficult for Father Time. If he continued to refuse, it would be tantamount to preventing their flesh and blood from meeting. However, if he didn't refuse, what if something happened when Shueshua went to see the child? Elder Spacetime would no longer have the face to be Hui Yao's majesty. The Spacetime geezer said in a serious tone. Even if the heaven-blessed dojo's grand dojo master, Zi Qin, comes to Hui Yao as a guest, he has to first send a visiting card and wait to be received in Ascending Dragon City. When the time comes, our Hui Yao will naturally treat you with courtesy. I haven't seen my child for so many years. I don't think it's a long time. Old Man Time's words made Shueshua's eyes dim. Anger finally appeared on Lan Lian and Bai Feng's faces. The Radiance Federation's majesty presided over the Radiance Federation. In such a large-scale federation with a population of hundreds of millions, laws would always be above human relations. As an organization formed by dozens of heavenly chosen spirits, the heaven-blessed mansion had always pursued the principle of human relations. This made it impossible for Father Time to consider problems from Shueshua's perspective. As a result, Lan Lian and Bai Feng couldn't understand what was going on. Why did the Radiance sect keep dodging the question? Could it be that there was something wrong with the children of Shueshua and Yugue? Lan Lian and Bai Feng's auras became chaotic when they thought of this. Blue Lotus and White Phoenix exuded an aura that felt like it would last for eternity. It collided with Father Time's pressure. For a moment, the atmosphere was in a deadlock. At that moment, the sky above the Radiance Royal Capital was firmly blocked by the spatial force. No one could see what was happening in the sky. The mother of Bloodbath looked at the sky and whispered to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan, I have to go to the sky. The mother of Bloodbath knew that Lin Yuan was the Moon Empress disciple. He wanted to fight for the position of the Radiance Envoy. As Lin Yuan's path protector, if a conflict broke out between the Heaven-Blessed Mansion and the Radiance Sect because of him, the Radiance Sect wouldn't be able to protect the Heaven-Blessed Mansion. It created an irreversible situation. In the Radiance, Lin Yuan was bound to be affected by him. Even if it was hurt, the mother of Bloodbath did not want to affect Lin Yuan. After saying that, the mother of Bloodbath prepared to fly toward the sky. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath felt its palm being held by another pair of warm hands. I'll go with you. What's the matter? I might be able to help. Lin Yuan's words made the mother of Bloodbath's heart burn. He was clearly Lin Yuan's path protector, so why was he acting like this whenever something happened? Why did Lin Yuan protect it more when things happened? Just as the mother of Bloodbath was about to refuse, Lin Yuan continued. This spatial barrier in the sky can even block the sun chain. You definitely won't be able to pass through. I don't have any good ideas. I'll call Uncle Shen and ask him to take us up. At such a time Lin Yuan did not even think of acting rashly. Behind this spatial energy shield stood a majesty. With Shen Yu around he could better communicate with Her Holiness. Lin Yuan dialed Shen Yu's number. After explaining the purpose of his visit, Shen Yu did not hesitate for a moment. Shen Yu appeared in the old residence of the Return from Faraway Manor. Looking at the situation in the sky, Shen Yu secretly cursed. Shen Yu knew about the mother of Bloodbath. Previously, the mother of Bloodbath had successfully passed the world cleansing. Shen Yu knew that the people from the Heaven-Blessed Mansion would definitely come knocking. The Heaven-Blessed Mansion was a path that the Moon Empress had paved for the store. However, Shen Yu did not expect the people from the Heaven-Blessed Mansion to be so reckless. They charged into the sky above the royal capital without saying a word. If she had known, she would not have tempered the Dragon Ball. Fortunately, Lin Yuan found her in time. The shield supported by the sacred source life form, the hollow crystal mother shellfish, was very stable. Obviously there was no conflict yet. If there was a conflict and anger was ignited, Spacetime Oldman's temper would not necessarily give her face. Xian Yu glanced at the mother of Bloodbath and then said to Lin Yuan, "Young lord, when Yu's source-type lifeform base paper has reached gold and obtained a skill called Faceless Paper." Young lord, when Yu's source-type lifeform base paper has reached gold and obtained a skill called Faceless Paper. Young lord, when you will go with me later. There is no need to hide with the Faceless Paper. Your appearance will be exposed to the eyes of all the royal capital residents. Upon hearing Xian Yu's words, Lin Yuan took out the Faceless Paper that Wen Yu had given him. He stuck it on his face. Soon Lin Yuan turned from a handsome youth to an ordinary person. Xian Yu waved her hand, and a dragon carriage formed by spiritual energy appeared. It appeared in the return from faraway manor. 9 silver flood dragons hovered at the front of the carriage, which was formed from mental power. Lin Yuan, who had seen Xian Yu's true body, realized that these silver flood dragons' true bodies were very similar to Xian Yu's true body. They were very similar to Xian Yu's true body. However, they did not have the pair of huge silver wings that Xian Yu's true body had. Lin Yuan and the mother of Bloodbath sat on the dragon carriage, and the 9 dragons flew around. Under the dumbfounded gazes of the royal capital residents, the dragon carriage stopped outside the silver spatial barrier. Xian Yu stretched out her hand, and an aura that surpassed the eternal realm flashed. The silver light from Xian Yu's palm melted a large hole in the spatial barrier. 9 giant dragons formed from mental energy directly pulled the dragon carriage through the hole. Everyone in the royal capital looked through the hole. It was as if they saw the pitch-black night, the vast ocean and the burning sun. The Spacetime Elder had used the hollow crystal mother shellfish to create a spiritual barrier. It was to protect the safety of the people in the Radiance royal capital. Therefore, Elder Time used all his strength and did not hold back at all. Seeing Xian Yu at the front of the dragon carriage, Elder Time ignored Blue Lotus and White Phoenix, who were clashing with him with their auras. Chapter 1545. He looked at Xian Yu and said, "With Black Moon Emissary's current strength, if he were to leave the Moon Empress and form his own faction, it's enough to achieve the title of His Majesty within 3 years." Xian Yu's strength had broken through the eternal realm and reached that level. It had already reached the standard of Lord Radiance. At the same time, Mystic Moon's Sacred Source Lifeform was one of the 3 Sacred Source Lifeforms used to construct the Star Web. It was of great significance to Hui Yao. Therefore what Old Man Time said was not a compliment to Xian Yu. In Father Time's opinion, it might be even shorter. Hui Yao's majesties would no longer be 13, but 14. Xian Yu shook her head and said in a serious tone, "Spacetime Holiness, stop joking. I, Black Moon, will forever be a moon envoy under the Moon Empress. I have no intention of becoming your majesty. Your Holiness Spacetime, please do not say such things in the future." Hearing this, Time Lord took a deep look at Xian Yu. Back then, because of the Moon Empress, Mystic Moon and Night Leaning Moon, among the Radiant Sect's envoys, Mystic Moon and Night Leaning Moon's matter had caused a huge commotion. It caused a huge commotion. In the end, Night Empress took over the Spirit Guards. It ended with the Moon Empress establishing the Radiant Moon Palace. Back then, as the Moon Empress retainer Night, Mystic Moon naturally became the Radiant Moon Palace's Mystic Moon envoy. With the passage of time, Mystic Moon broke through to the Eternal Realm. His loyalty to the Moon Empress was still the same. It seemed like the Radiant Moon Palace would become the only faction in the Radiant sect with 2 powerhouses who had awakened their life providences. The 9 spiritual energy dragons coiled and firmly blocked Lin Yuan and the mother of Bloodbath. Lan Lian and Bai Feng felt that the situation had become more troublesome because of Xian Yu's arrival. However, Shueishua's eyes seemed to be able to see through the 9 spiraling mental energy dragons. He landed firmly on the left side of the dragon carriage. Through the Sun Chain's perception, Shueishua could clearly sense the mother of Bloodbath's location. But for some reason, when faced with his son who was right in front of him, he didn't know what to do. Xian Yu actually couldn't muster the courage to touch it. Because up until now, Shueishua still couldn't be sure that he and Yu Gui had a child. Was it a man or a woman? Lan Lian and Shueishua were shocked when they sensed the change in Shueishua's expression. Could it be that the Radiant Moon Palace's Black Moon envoy sent Shueishua and big sister Yu Gui's child over? On the dragon chariot, the mother of Bloodbath took a deep breath, and a trace of cowardice appeared in its heart. For as long as it could remember, the mother of Bloodbath had always been puzzled. Why did the animals have two big ones and one small one? Why was he the only one who had been alone since birth? The mother of Bloodbath was a tarantula, an avian fae that built a nest to protect its chicks. The mother of Bloodbath usually did not choose to hunt. Only when facing lone avian fays would the mother of Bloodbath hunt them cleanly and neatly. The mother of Bloodbath continued to work hard. The birds and single dogs of the Forest of Infinity Edge were basically swallowed into their stomachs. In the process of awakening the favored spirit bloodline, the mother of Bloodbath had experienced the test of life and death again and again. In the end, he bathed in the sun chain and was reborn, becoming the sun's favorite. At that time, the mother of Bloodbath had confirmed that she still had a blood relative. A silent feeling quietly rose in his heart. This feeling was different from the charming and gentle feelings she had for Lin Yuan. His feelings for Wenyu, Lu Jie and Endless Summer were also simple and pure. However, this feeling was unusually strong and firm. It was as if the mother of Bloodbath's existence had been engraved in its bloodline and genes. Therefore, it was difficult for the mother of Bloodbath to not feel perturbed now that it knew that its kin was close at hand. Everyone was afraid that their expectations would be disappointed. Compared to the perturbed feeling, the mother of Bloodbath wanted to understand more. Why had it been abandoned back then? He clearly had the bloodline of a chosen spirit. What was the relationship between the celestial corona jade spider that had turned into the radiance lava zone and it? With that thought, the mother of Bloodbath jumped down from the dragon carriage. At that moment, Shueishua's beautiful eyes stared at the mother of Bloodbath's face. The moment he saw the mother of Bloodbath's face, his bright red and orange gold eyes turned dark red at the same time. A soft cry came out of Shueishua's mouth subconsciously. Ague. Shueishua had never thought that he would see it again one day. That beautiful face that only existed in his memory. Blue Lotus and White Phoenix also looked at the mother of Bloodbath. They subconsciously called out, "Big Sister Jade Gue." Lin Yuan and Elder Time were dumbfounded by the situation. However, it was within Xian Yu's expectations. Xian Yu had seen the Jade Gue that Shueishua, Blue Lotus and White Phoenix were talking about. The Jade Gue's appearance was almost the same as the current mother of Bloodbath. Often, the more powerful a lifeform's bloodline was, the harder it was to have children. If one was lucky enough to have children, the children would definitely look very similar to the previous generation. The bloodline of the favored spirit could be said to be the noblest existence among fays. Therefore, the mother of Bloodbath and the Jade Gue looked the same. It was a matter of course. In Xian Yu's impression, Shueishua was just a scarlet tarantula that could not even resist the 5-page truth. Xian Yu did not understand how Shueishua had awakened the celestial corona jade spider bloodline. Furthermore, the celestial corona jade spider bloodline and the scarlet tarantula bloodline had perfectly fused. The first person to react to the mother of Bloodbath's appearance was Shueishua. When Shueishua saw the mother of Bloodbath's face, he immediately thought of the Jade Gue. It evoked dusty memories. However, as a father, Shueishua was able to determine in a very short time. This was not the Jade Gue, but his and the Jade Gue's daughter, the blood bond. This face that was similar to the Jade Gue had a frosty expression, and there was not even a trace of a smile. The Jade Gue had a personality that loved to smile, and it was rare for it not to smile. The mother of Bloodbath's coldness did not make Shueishua feel unfamiliar or awkward. Instead, it made Shueishua feel more remorseful. He felt even more sorry for the mother of Bloodbath. However, Shueishua soon sensed the blood law power that permeated the mother of Bloodbath's body. It was actually resonating with the person on the right side of the dragon carriage. This meant that his daughter, the blood bond, was using the blood law power. She had made an oath to the person on the left side of the dragon carriage. This discovery made Shueishua's expression suddenly sink. Coincidentally, Lin Yuan jumped down from the dragon carriage at that moment. He immediately met Shueishua's cold eyes. Shueishua's hostility confused Lin Yuan for a moment. Xian Yu saw Shueishua's gaze and snorted. Just as she was about to speak, she saw the mother of Bloodbath take a step to the right. It blocked Lin Yuan behind it. Then it walked in front of Shueishua and spoke in a tense voice. "Let's find a place to talk. If you don't mind, I have a lot of questions to ask you." Upon hearing the mother of Bloodbath's words, Shueishua's dark red eyes could no longer hold back. 2 streams of hot tears flowed down his cheeks. How much had his daughter experienced? How much suffering had she been tempered by? Only then could she become so strong. Chapter 1546. Shueshua subconsciously opened his arms and wanted to hug the mother of Bloodbath. He hugged his long-lost daughter. But when he thought about how he had never fulfilled his responsibilities as a father all this time, he couldn't help but sigh. Shueshua's hand froze in midair. He did not know whether to advance or retreat. Shueshua wasn't afraid that the mother of Bloodbath would push him away when he hugged it. He was afraid that his actions would scare the mother of Bloodbath. Looking at the red-haired, red-eyed man, who looked just like him, tears welled up in his eyes. For some reason, the mother of Bloodbath's heart softened. The firm feelings in his heart surged violently like a tsunami. The mother of Bloodbath understood the man's tears. The family in front of him hadn't forgotten him. For such a situation to occur, it was obvious that he had his own difficulties. Otherwise, how could his father travel thousands of miles? He clearly knew that this was very abrupt, but he still rashly flew directly into the sky above the capital? He would never look at her lovingly. Even now, his eyes were still dripping with hot tears. As a fae, especially an arachnid fae that was very apathetic to emotions, it was a rare treasure. The mother of Bloodbath knew that if it wasn't for its emotions rushing over like a tsunami, it wouldn't have been able to survive. No matter how good an arachnid fae's acting skills were, it would not be able to make itself cry. The mother of Bloodbath looked at Shueshua's open hand, which was in a dilemma. He gently stepped forward and gave Shueshua a hug. The mother of Bloodbath's actions startled Shueshua. Shueshua hugged the mother of Bloodbath's waist and laughed wildly. "We found our daughter. I finally found my daughter. Yugue, our child is still alive." Shueshua's outpouring of emotions made the mother of Bloodbath understand even more how important he was to Shueshua. Lan Lian and Bai Feng also had tears in their eyes. On the one hand, he was happy for the safety of the blood. On the one hand, she was happy that she had found Sister Yugue's child. On the other hand, he was happy for Sister Ziqing. If Xueqing could be safely born in the blessed heavens mansion. The one who dotes on Xueqing the most must be Big Sister Ziqing. After a long time, Shueshua was finally willing to let go of the mother of Bloodbath's embrace. Blue Lotus said softly to the mother of Bloodbath, "Child, before your mother gave birth to you, she named you Xueqing. She loves you just like your father. If you miss her, you can go to the Radiance's lava field to see her. Every trace of fire element in the lava field is formed from her flesh and blood." These words should have been said by Shueshua to the mother of Bloodbath. However, Blue Lotus did not want Shueshua and the mother of Bloodbath to talk for a while. Whenever the mother of Bloodbath asked, Shueshua would recall. This was too cruel for Shueshua. He might as well tell the mother of Bloodbath everything here. Based on Blue Lotus's understanding, after finding the mother of Bloodbath would not be able to escape. At the very least, you have to let the mother of Bloodbath know that your father and mother never stopped loving you. Only then would the mother of Bloodbath understand. From the beginning to the end he was not alone. Upon hearing Blue Lotus words, the mother of Bloodbath's heart immediately tightened. The legendary Scorpio Jade Spider that had transformed into a land of lava was indeed his mother. When Lin Yuan heard Blue Lotus's words, his heart was slightly moved. The lava land was formed from the flesh and blood of the mother of Bloodbath's mother. The mother of Bloodbath's soul must still be in the lava. Upon seeing the mother of Bloodbath's reddened eyes, Lin Yuan stepped forward and said, "It's not a big deal. Do you still remember what I told you when you formed a contract with the Myriad Medicine Spring?" Just as Lin Yuan walked forward, the gazes of Blue Lotus, Shueshua, and Bai Feng had already landed on Lin Yuan. All three of them felt a faint connection between Lin Yuan and the mother of Bloodbath's blood law. This meant that the mother of Bloodbath had made some kind of oath to Lin Yuan. This feeling was like losing a child and finding the child after decades. He found out that his child had become someone else's child bride. Upon hearing that, the mother of Bloodbath's eyes suddenly lit up. Looking at Shueshua, Blue Lotus, and White Phoenix's gazes at Lin Yuan, the mother of Bloodbath spoke. "He's the one who saved me twice. If not for Lin Yuan, I would have died under the world cleansing when I reached Myth 2. And it's even more impossible for him to have the chance to awaken his bloodline. After reaching Myth 2, he helped me with all the resources I needed to increase my strength, including the preparations to awaken the favored spirit when I advanced from the peak of Myth 2 to Myth 3. XQQX, when I awakened the favored spirit bloodline, he saved my life several times. I'm his path protector. And he is my benefactor." As it spoke, the mother of Bloodbath took a step closer to Lin Yuan. This action of the mother of Bloodbath was expressing its stance. Although it did not say anything harsh, It told Shueshua, Blue Lotus and White Phoenix. Lin Yuan's help to it. By taking a step closer to Lin Yuan, it was expressing. If I have to choose, I will still stand on Lin Yuan's side. I know that I have a father and I know that I have a family. However, if you make him your enemy, we can only live on our own in the future. Shueshua and the other two were surprised by the mother of bloodbath's attitude and determination. They knew that there was a problem with their attitudes. If it was really as the mother of bloodbath said, then this ordinary-looking youth had always been helping the mother of bloodbath. Then her and Yu Gui's child could live to this day and recognize her. It was all thanks to the youth in front of them. This youth was not only the benefactor of her and Yu Gui's child. He was also their benefactor. At the same time, he was the benefactor of the heaven-blessed dojo. After understanding this, Shueshua, Blue Lotus and White Phoenix immediately looked at Lin Yuan with friendly gazes. Bai Feng immediately plucked at her hair. 3 pitch-black phoenix feathers appeared in Bai Feng's hand. Bai Feng did not say anything and handed the 3 phoenix feathers in her hand to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan was at a loss for a moment. He did not know whether he should accept the 3 bird feathers handed to him by the fishnet uncle. Mystic Moon and Old Man Spacetime looked at each other. Old Man Time was a little envious of Lin Yuan. The heaven-blessed dojo's hall masters seemed to be a little rash, but they were all passionate people. Bai Feng was a narcissist who loved her feathers the most. Now that she had plucked off the phoenix feathers and given them to Lin Yuan, it was enough to show how grateful she was to Lin Yuan. Seeing that Lin Yuan did not accept the phoenix feathers, Bai Feng looked like she wanted to stuff the phoenix feathers into Lin Yuan's hands. Old Man Spacetime could be sure that Bai Feng gave Lin Yuan the phoenix feathers. It was not to thank Lin Yuan for his help to the mother of bloodbath. Instead, it was a subconscious action out of gratitude. The Moon Empress move was really brilliant. She used this method to let her disciple build a relationship with the entire heaven-blessed dojo. Chapter 1547. When Bai Feng saw that Lin Yuan had no intention of asking her to hand over the feather, she looked very anxious. He could not help but say, "Why don't you want my fur? My fur is very useful." An exaggerated expression appeared on Bai Feng's face as she spoke. It was as if he had been insulted. It was as though if Lin Yuan didn't take the feathers, he wouldn't give him face. Bai Feng's reaction made Lin Yuan completely confused. Lin Yuan knew that the strange man in front of him was essentially a favored spirit. Even the mud that was rubbed off the body of the heavenly chosen. This was because the keratin that contained the spirit of heavenly favor was a rare treasure. The black feather plucked from the head of the strange middle-aged man wearing a fishing net suit was no exception. If Bai Feng only wanted to give him something, he would not refuse. However, the premise of White Phoenix giving him something was to thank him for helping the mother of bloodbath. This made Lin Yuan unwilling to accept it. Shueshua was the mother of bloodbath's father, and Bai Feng could be said to be the mother of bloodbath's uncle. However, the mother of bloodbath was also his Tao protector. Bai Feng's actions were tantamount to taking the initiative to help the mother of bloodbath feel grateful to him. When he had helped the mother of bloodbath, he had never thought of repaying it. In his opinion, Bai Feng's actions were tantamount to tarnishing his relationship with the mother of bloodbath. The mother of bloodbath had already made its stance clear by standing beside him. Therefore, no matter how one looked at it, Bai Feng's actions were inappropriate. Upon seeing Lin Yuan's ugly expression, Bai Feng immediately reacted. It was true that he had not thought things through. Bai Feng hurriedly pulled it off her head. This time Bai Feng plucked a lot of hair. A large clump of black silk turned into a handful of black feathers. In the end, Bai Feng waved a hand and transformed the feathers into a black feather fan. Bai Feng said to Lin Yuan solemnly, "This is not a thank you gift. I just want to express my gratitude to you. I might feel better if you took it." This time Bai Feng's words were very sincere. Upon seeing that Bai Feng's expression did not seem to be fake, Lin Yuan's expression became better. At this moment, Mystic Moon stepped forward. He looked at the folding fan made of bird feathers in Bai Feng's hand and said to Lin Yuan, "Little Highness, since this is his kind intentions, please accept it. Night Leaning Moon really needs this feather that contains the dense power of night." Xian Yu wasn't someone who didn't know her limits. At this time, Xian Yu actually said this in front of the meeting. It was clear that Night Leaning Moon really needed this black feather. Mystic Moon thought to herself as she looked at the black feather fan in Lin Yuan's hand. It seems like Night Leaning Moon owes Little Highness a huge favor from now on. Night Leaning Moon's 2 main fays were stuck at that realm. He was unable to take another step forward. The power of night was an extremely rare power. This power was born from the darkness, but it was completely different from the dark elements. Night-leaning Moon wanted to refine the power of night through her sacred source life form. On the other hand, he could convert large amounts of darkness attribute spiritual materials. Although doing so could indeed produce a large amount of night power, it was impossible. However, the power of night created in this way was not pure enough. In the world, those who possessed the purest power of night were the heavenly spirits that belonged to the night. Bai Feng was able to extract the purest power of the night from the darkness. The power of night that Bai Feng usually absorbed was stored in the feathers on her body. There were at least 300 feathers on the feather fan in Lin Yuan's hand. Night-leaning Moon only needed half of the feathers to use the pure power of night in these feathers. She could use her main phase to break through that threshold. If he gave the entire feather fan to Night-leaning Moon. Apart from the main phase, Night-leaning Moon's other phase might also be able to borrow its power. She could complete a breakthrough in strength and upgrade her bloodline. It wasn't that Night-leaning Moon didn't have designs on Bai Feng before. Moreover, Night-leaning Moon had indeed sought out Bai Feng and proposed a trade with her. However, Bai Feng was a miser who cherished her feathers as much as her life. Night-leaning Moon had repeatedly proposed to exchange for Bai Feng's feathers, but Bai Feng had rejected her every time. This made Night-leaning Moon very angry. If Night-leaning Moon was a wandering expert who didn't belong to any federation, Night-leaning Moon could have designs on Bai Feng in secret. She could have plucked the feathers from Bai Feng's body. If they really fought, Night-leaning Moon should be slightly stronger than Bai Feng. However, as the Radiance Empress, she belonged to the Radiance Federation. If she rashly found trouble with Bai Feng, it would definitely cause the Radiance Federation and the Heaven-Blessed Mansion to become sworn enemies. Therefore, after so many years, Night-leaning Moon had given up on further plans. Now everything was easily solved. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan didn't insist. Since Bai Feng's feathers were useful to Night-leaning Moon, Bai Feng was also willing to give them. Lin Yuan was willing to fight for a chance for Night-leaning Moon to break through. When Bai Feng saw that Lin Yuan had accepted her feathers, she stood there happily and touched her hair. After feeling that her hair volume had decreased, Bai Feng's face immediately collapsed. The real batch. Bai Feng couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Of all the things that she could give, why did she have to pluck the feathers? However, if Lin Yuan really said it, he would ask Bai Feng for the feathers. No matter how unwilling Bai Feng was, she still had to give them. Lan Lian looked at Bai Feng, who looked dispirited. He walked in front of Lin Yuan and placed his palm on Lin Yuan's forehead. Then Lin Yuan felt as though his whole body was soaked in an ice spring. The water elements kept gathering around him, making Lin Yuan feel abnormally comfortable. A blue lotus pattern appeared on Lin Yuan's forehead. Each petal of this lotus pattern was like a wave that was like a cicada's wing. Blue Lotus said softly to Lin Yuan, "I gave you a blue sea blessing. I gave you a blessing of the blue sea. With the protection of the blessing of the blue sea, as long as you are in a place with water elements, the water elements will automatically protect you. In the water, you can breathe freely. Powerful water-type phase might not have a good impression of you. But there won't be any phase made of water element energy that will take the initiative to attack you. For 10 years, the water element will be your best friend." Blue Lotus's words made Mystic Moon's eyebrows jump. He didn't expect that the Blue Lotus would give Lin Yuan a chance to become the eternal favored spirit. She could only use the Blue Sea blessing once every 10 years. For 10 years, the water element would be Lin Yuan's most intimate partner. If it was a water-type Fae and Blue Lotus had used the Blue Sea blessing. If it was a water-type Fae and Blue Lotus had used the Blue Sea blessing, then it would not consume any spiritual materials and would not work hard. In 10 years, it would be able to transform from normal to human form. Even if it was a water-type Fae with poor aptitude, it could become a myth under the Blue Sea blessing. When faced with a water-type Fae with excellent aptitude and willing to work hard, with the protection of the Blue Sea blessing for 10 years, it was not impossible to become a creation Fae. Blue Lotus and White Phoenix's actions made Mystic Moon and Elder Spacetime feel the Blue Lotus's Blue Sea blessing. How sincere they were. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.